Let's see if we can get past that bridge, shall we? No, I'm just kidding. We got past the bridge. Now we got to get to the inn. That's going to be even harder.
So, a griffin this close to the village? Strange.
My thoughts exactly. In a forest or the mountains, sure, but here? Near the main road.
Maybe it's the war. Corpses everywhere, the stench of blood, burnt flesh. Drives monsters crazy sometimes.
Men, too. We need to watch ourselves in White Orchard. And we should leave as soon as we learn anything.
Agreed. Screw this place. This place sucks. What? You'll notice the not exactly subtle, but still interesting little tidbit there. War brings monsters. I mean, come on, you know.
Don't touch me.
By the way, hello Darth Tyron. Hello Corrales. Hello Zira.
Lad went missing one day, so folks nabbed a witch that was hunting the fire. They poked him last. When he started twisting and squirming, so wham bam, they knocked his head off. Oh, sorry.
Rude.
What? Take that down before there's trouble.
That is a coat of arms, the Temerian lilies. They've a right to hang there.
This ain't Temeria no more, old man. It's Nilfgaard now.
My arse it is.
Hi, Negodai. You absolutely can. And so it shall be. Katie Negodai. Thronebreaker. So noted. Thank you as always, sir. And hello, Platty. Hazardous. Kingsfold. Is more quiet? Really? So for those of you not aware, I did a little audio tinkering. I didn't even take a nap today. I was working on making this a little better. We've fiddled with the webcam. We've set up the gameplay and negatives things a little bit differently. And I did more audio balancing to try and make it more audible. Because Witcher 3 does have audio balance issues. In fact, if we're being completely honest, we should probably go ahead and jot down a gameplay negative for that. Because Witcher 3 does have gameplay audio problems, like, pretty consistently. I don't need to put that in a hypothetical because I know this game. I know that that's going to be a consistent problem. So, consistent. Whoops, that shouldn't be bold. Audio balance issues throughout cutscenes. Hi, Console Hot. Hi, Eisermaster. So, you might be thinking, lore, why did you pause the game? Are you about to talk about lore again? Well, yes. So that, in contrast to almost every other time when I pause the game, that wasn't a perfectly done scene. There was a little bit of awkward and clumsy exposition there. But there was still some necessary exposition there. See, the way they did it was, take that down or there'll be trouble. And then the guy says, and this is the clumsy part, that has a right to be there. That's the lilies of such and such. And the other guy says, yeah, it ain't Nilfgaard anymore. See, that's, if you didn't catch the clumsy part, let me put it to you this way. Imagine if someone was to say to me, Lore, take down this symbol. The one right here, right? And I were to say to you, but that's the Imperial symbol. That's the symbol of me and my empire. Do you kind of get the awkwardness now? It is a little bit of as you know. There was no need to add that in there, especially since they've already told us about how the Nilfgaardians had moved into this area and the Northerners were losing. All they would have had to say to smooth that out is, take that down or there'll be trouble. It has a right to be there. Well, this is Nilfgaard now, not Temeria. My ass it is! Do you see how that flows a lot more naturally? I didn't even change the dialogue all that much. but a few little minor edits will show how that can flow much more smoothly into a natural conversation, rather than what it effectively is, which is just exposition. Needless exposition at that. Now, the other problem is I feel like the direction on that scene is also flawed. Because the exposition on that, or the directing on that scene, is trying to get across a little bit of an idea that the guy is upset. Oh, my ass it is! And he stands up and he's just this. He looks around. No one responds to him. So then he just kind of sits back down and is like, oh, whatever. The idea there is that he's trying to be upset about it, but everyone's already too defeated to care. But I feel like the animation of that doesn't really get across exactly the nature of that. It's one of those things you have to kind of dig into it to get that, rather than it being naturally presented. So this is probably the first cutscene so far that isn't flawlessly, amazingly awesome. I mean, passably acceptable. So, of course, she removes it, as she should. Because he's right. That's just asking for trouble.
What? Witches?
I'll not drink with Weaverlaw's freaks.
Hi, Goldflavius.
Beg your pardon for those thugs.
No need. We're used to it.
Folk are jumpy around here. Armies just passed through. Now a griffin's prowling about.
Already had the pleasure. Ran into your kinsman, Bram.
Bram? How is he?
Alive. Sends his regards.
Master Witches. Food and drink on the house. What can I get you?
This is called a shop. This is how shops work. Tutorial, tutorial, tutorial. Hey, Goldflavius. So technically, yes, but can you find that? Like, if I asked you, Goldflavius, right now, to go and look up the Witcher 3 run, do you think you could do that? Anyways, yes, so this is another way that the game kind of ties its morality system into gameplay. There are plenty of times when you could say no to payment or whatever, and in so doing, it usually pays off in some way or another. Usually not literally. There's no money payoff. But usually you get a few other things that helps to balance it out, either in terms of gear, or in terms of additional equipment, or maybe just a few extra potions, or a few other, whatevers, right? Now, this isn't universally true. There's actually a quest I'm looking forward to where I can take all the prize money and just give it right back and say, here, take it and do something with it. But that leads me to what I mentally tend to think of as the Dragon Age Origins effect, aka sometimes the benefit of being a good person is that you are a good person. And usually what tends to sell me on being a good person when it comes to a video game is almost always down on the voice acting. How genuine or sincere people sound when they are thankful to you for you helping them, which is a big deal to me when it comes to a game. So, anyways.
Pretty busy place you got.
Nations on the move. Some search for kin, others just want to get out of the way of the armies. They all need food, drink, and a night's rest in warmth.
So, war's been good for you.
Hang on a second. That guy, he looks like me, doesn't he? I'm sure he's unimportant.
Aye, so far. But it'd be best to know peace again. Times like these, you never know what tomorrow will bring.
Yeah, sorry guys, spoiler alert, I'm actually in this game too.
There a contract on that griffin?
Nay, not at the moment. Used to be. Soon as a beast had built a nest nearby, the alderman would start a collection, or go to the Lord for help. Now the aldermen don't use the privy without asking the Black One's permission first. And seems they hanged the Lord. So no contract.
Shame. We might have done something,
What?
but not for free.
What? Did you see that? You saw that, right? Oh yeah, this is going to be like at least a week, Magister, possibly longer. Anyways, thank you, Command and Conquer. Do you know what you want to put that towards? I'm looking for a woman.
Looking for a woman. Raven-haired, violet eyes, dresses in black and white. Riding in from Willoughby. And, strange as it sounds, lilac and gooseberries might have smelled that.
I've not seen nor smelt such a lady. I believe I'd remember.
Yeah, especially hard to forget this one.
Plenty of travellers about, though. Folk from all over. Might be worth your while to ask after her.
Okay, thanks. Hang on, Commander Cocker. Let me jot that down. The horse... The horse is showing off for the other horses, like, yeah, look what I can do. Yep, just stretching on the fence. Yeah. You like what you see?
Thanks for everything.
So for the curious, our good friend back there was in the vanilla game. I've actually talked about this before.
Help you bandage that up?
Please, I'm not decrepit yet.
Then I'll ask about Yennefer.
Just remember, we'd rather not draw any attention.
You hear? Black One's been out measuring the fields.
Let them measure. Better that than burning the harvest.
Drommel. Drommel, you're dumber than a headless cockerel. Why are they marking out them lines, eh? Passing out their patrimony. Give it to their own.
There are 4 factions.
4 what?
Factions, teams, suits, similar to clubs and spades, except each suit has its own face cards. There are also special cards.
Wouldn't you rather play war? It's like to be near dawn before you get your game in noggin.
What a waste of time! The Earth shall revolve around the sun before you comprehend these rules.
Got a minute?
Why not? Aldert Geert, Assistant Professor in Contemporary History at Oxenfurt Academy.
Geralt of Rivia. Witcher, with tenure. I'm looking for a woman. Long hair, dressed in black and white. Seen anyone like that?
Of course not! Unlike the populace, I know the horsewoman of war is pure poppycock.
The what?
Horsewoman of war. What's that about?
Folk say an omen. A beautiful phantom rides the fields at night, looks as you described her. Armies follow her, and all who cross her path meet with misfortune.
I can vouch for the last bit. Know where they saw her?
No, facts interest me, not fairy tales.
I'm going to interrupt really quick here. Did you know that when doing the English voice acting, I don't know if this is true in other languages, so feel free to inform me, but in the English voice acting, they actually spent the time and the effort to vary the specific speech pattern as well as accent, depending on where they were from, which I think is actually kind of awesome. Hi, Savacom. I hope you enjoy your games later. I'm trying to find it. I had a list here. Hang on. Oh, where is it? Apparently I can't find it. I swear I found a list of this. One moment. Let's try this. Apparently they did this for Polish. That makes... I mean, that would make sense, right? And why wouldn't they? Ah, blah. I can't find it. Oh, here we go. No, here we go. Okay, so apparently they utilize something called refined RP, which I'm actually not sure what that is off the top of my head, for anyone who is of higher status. Yennefer, Emir. They use southeastern London or Cockney accents for thuggish and disruptive characters, West Country and Welsh accents for rustic locals, and a Broomy accent for the Bloody Baron. And, of course, Scottish accent for the Dwarven characters. Also, several of the characters are specifically designed to have accents that aren't quite exactly what they should be, based on the specific character rather than from where the character's from. For example, Ciri has an estuary accent, despite the fact that she grew up amongst witchers. However, she had lived in a royal castle until she was 12, so that makes a degree of sense. Similarly, Amir speaking in RP makes sense, even though most of the Nilfgaardians speak in a more thick Russian-Germanic accent. Amir actually spent most of his youth in the north and lived in Sintra after marrying Pavetta, hence him having a more RP accent. There's more. There's several notes here that I found. But I just wanted to share, that's the kind of level of detail I love when it comes to these things. Received pronunciation. I actually know what that is. So that's very cool, putting that kind of thought and effort into accents. That's awesome. I just wanted to share that really quick. So anywho, why are you here?
Not a place I'd ever expect to find a scholar. Take it you're fleeing the war?
Quite the opposite. Chasing it. I'm headed for the front.
Tired of life?
I seek knowledge, which I value more than life itself. I've a thirst no dusty old tomes can quench. I wish to see the Nilfgaardian invasion with my own eyes, understand it, and record it all in my chronicle, my magnum opus.
Fine, hazardous, just for you and for no other reason.
Take my advice. Go back to your books while you can. War's no game. No faculty meetings to attend, no tenure to gain, end notes to compile. First soldier you see'll kill you.
Why would he do that? Me? A neutral civilian? A scholar?
Boots.
Come again?
He'll kill you for your boots.
Yeah. Damn, that's...
War reached Novigrad yet?
Nope, but it's only a matter of time. Nilfgaard on one bank, Redania on the other. Drooling over the city like dogs over a juicy bone.
Many a ruler's choked on that bone.
True. We value our liberty in Novigrad, and we know how to fight for it.
The scholars especially.
The sword is not the only weapon. Do not forget, architects from our academy designed the city walls. Walls no war machine has ever crumbled.
Gotta go. So long.
A moment, Witcher. You strike me as a man of the world. Are you familiar with Gwent?
No, and I don't have time to learn.
But the rules are quite simple. Come, let's play.
Yeah, alright. Let's play Gwent.
Why not?
Splendid. Here's how it's done.
I'll need to know for when I get to the Thronebreaker game. Alright. Let's go ahead and just start. Didn't I have a thing to just instant win these? I swear I did. What cheat was that? Hang on. Give me a second. Depends on how complex you wanted Gum Gum, but it's not easy. I feel like it was a console command, but I don't know what it was. And I know this because we thought it was funny, because there were a few I was doing for quests, and I do want to do a few Gwent missions for quests. And it was just... And then we would win the match. They were like, we win. Or we lost, or whatever. Anyways. No, I didn't, Asdus. But I mentioned the PG-13 warning. Honestly, I'm good here. Oh my god, Corrales. So how many pluses do you think we should give this game for the existence of Gwent? Alright, Darth Tyron says none. Well, now we need to kill Darth Tyron. Really, Tigzar? That's hysterical. So for those of you who want to give a negative for Gwent, or not give a plus for Gwent, please share your reasoning. I'd love to hear it. Sorry, I'm debating. Oh, he passed. Right. I thought I did. It's not the dice game. That is a plus. So what's the stuff that they could spoil, if you don't mind my asking? Because I've never seen that personally.
Oh, welcome. Pay close attention. Hopefully you'll learn something.
Well, that means we got all tab. Hang on. Okay. Well, not liking it is perfectly acceptable, Vigilant. I get you on that. Give me a moment to jot this down. 0, Battle Gothic 2. Thank you, Vigilant, as always. Whoops. What's happening? Ah! What in the world is happening here? I was all tabbed when whatever happened, so whatever. Of course. Yeah. Let's just nuke that out. Apparently I played a medic. I was all tabbed! I was literally all tabbed! Yeah, I think we're good.
Well, you've a knack for this game. If you ever find yourself in Oxenfurt and wish to play a true master, ask for Stepan. A simple innkeep by trade, but a true maestro when it comes to Gwent.
I'll remember that. Thanks.
I've been described as many things over the years, but I don't think anyone's ever described me as an edgelord, Gum-Gum. If you want, I could shrink myself, Aethel. Hang on. Aethel has complained, so we gotta shrink ourselves. Okay, we're gonna be down here in the corner now. So as I was trying to say... one of the things that I can't really decide. Okay, hang on a second. That's actually hard for me to do at this point in my life. I am Tiny Lore. I don't know what I want to do with Gwent. I mean, it's more or less completely optional. And with only a couple of exceptions. Those exceptions do kind of pull me away from praising it even more. Because it's kind of like the card game in FF9. You have to win two rounds of the card game FF9. You have to. The only way to progress through Final Fantasy IX's main story is to do 2 of those matches, and to win both of them. Now, you can replay them infinitely, but... Right? I mean, you can see why that's a bit of an issue. You don't have to win the 3rd one. You can lose the 3rd one. However, in this case, it's not main story you have to do, Gwent. But there are several optional stories of, quest chains that you can't actually progress through without being able to play Gwent properly and win Gwent. And this brings me to the age-old question, what is defined as optional? Now, this is a topic that we're going to have to discuss if we're actually going to rate this game. Because, well, because this is a topic that we have to discuss in general. Now, some people would say anything that is not necessary to complete the game is optional. I don't like that definition, mostly because that definition means that the only things that are main content in a lot of games is like 1% of the content. Like, there are an astonishingly large number of games where the main content, as in the stuff you have to do in order to complete the game, is threadbare or limited, or there's only a few bare individual things you should do, right? Well, I guess I'll be larger now. Damn it, Savacom. Well, since you apparently can't hear me say this, I hope you hear this on the VOD. Thank you, Savacom. Thank you very, very much. As ever, and as always. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. I will jot those down immediately. God, I have a lot of donations to update the website with tonight. So that's... And that's this. And for those of you curious, she also put some of that towards an FF6 IDC. But seriously, thank you. Now, not that I'm aware of, Corrales. Now, my point here is, let me name my 2 favorite examples of optional content. All of the side missions, virtually all of the side missions in Mass Effect 2. You know, the loyalty missions, those are optional. You don't have to do those to beat the game. Or how about Final Fantasy VI? What do you have to do to beat the game in FF6? Well, you have to get to the world of Ruin, you have to get the airship, and then you can beat the game. There's a huge amount of content that is skippable on the way there. Oh, I know what you were talking about, Gum Gum. You were, of course, referring to me. So, my point in bringing that up is that in both of those cases, you can see how a lot of the optional content would be considered meat, as I like to describe it. Something that is substantial, significant, and should actually be considered main content, right? So this is why I find this to be an interesting question, because I've heard a lot of people say, well, you know, it's okay because it's optional content. But I find that given the nature of what optional content can be defined as, for me, optional content is something that has to be considered in gradients. So there's like main optional content, I just gave 2 examples of that. Then there's like side optional content, and then there's just fluff optional content, right? Let me use an example from Lord of the Rings Online. So we've got main content in Lord of the Rings Online, Lotro. That would be the book quests. That's it, nothing else. You don't have to do dungeons, you don't have to do overworld stuff, you don't have to do side quests, you don't have to do anything. Book quests, nothing else. Bam. So that's main content. Side main content would be most of the regional story. So almost all of the zones in that game have one major narrative arc that flows through a series of quests that helps to inform what's going on in that zone at a given point in time. Usually it branches out directly from the book quest, so it naturally adheres itself to the main narrative. But since it's not part of the book quests, it is technically optional. But it's still very significant meat, right? Then you've got the side stuff, the side optional stuff. That's usually one-off stuff. This one guy over here wants you to go kill 8 boars. Or this other person wants you to go do, 15 of these things in order to figure out where the elves are going. Stuff like that. Finally, you have your fluff, which is as optional gets. That's the stuff that really doesn't have any substance to it whatsoever. It's just there because. It's just there as a little side activity. For example, Grand Theft Auto 5, funnily enough, is actually something I was going to use as an example of this. But in Lotro specifically, there's these things, and I can't remember what they're actually called in Lotro, but they're repeatable quests that you can do just to gain money and experience with functionally no real lore or substance to them. That's the fluff side content. That's the as optional gets. To use Grand Theft Auto 5 as the other example that I was going to be mentioning, in Grand Theft Auto 5, you can go play golf. Or tennis, actually. Sorry, you can go play tennis. You could see why going and playing tennis is something that would be considered optional. It's like, there's no real substance. Apparently there is golf, too. There's no real substance to it. There's no real meat to it. It's way over here and optional, right? But the strangers stuff, well, that's closer to meat content, wouldn't you say? Because especially since a lot of those have arcs, multiple incidents leading to an overall narrative story kind of a thing. So you kind of get my point, right? This is why I feel that the term optional is thrown around a little bit too much when it comes to defining things in a video game, because a lot of content really is optional when it comes to most games. Even a fairly linear game like Mario Brothers 1. What is main content in Mario Brothers 1? Now, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's something like 1-1, 1-2, and then 4-1, I want to say, and then 4-2, and then 8-1, 8-2, 8-3, and 8-4. I think that's what it is. I could be missing up a few of the lines, but that's main content in Mario Brothers 1. Everything else is optional. Apparently I was pretty close to correct. 1-1, 1-2, 4-1, 8-1, 8-2, 8-3, 8-4. That's it. So you can see how even for an excessively linear game, there is still a concept of optional content which can be considered substantial, substantive. And it's worth noting, Tigzar, of course, is making the joke, this is still within the realm of designed by intent. I mean, you could beat Super Mario World inside of, 10 minutes? If you input code based on how you use the game. Mario Brothers 3, for example, also does the same thing. So you get my point. That's why I like separating the content thing. Now, having said all that, I do think getting back to our point here, I do think that the Gwent story arcs, there's 2 that I know of off the top of my head. One is the main tournament here, and one is the one in Tucson. I think they're both substantial enough to be considered what I would call main side content. In other words, stuff that shouldn't be considered optional, and so it's okay if it sucks, because there's still substance to it, right? That's just my opinion. Having said all that, God, we're going to bring that up too in the future, I guarantee it. Having said all that, I would say I do like how Gwent is something they basically made on their own time. I love that. I also like how Gwent has its own difficulty slider, which is kind of weird as that may sound, but the fact that they actually added a difficulty slider to the Gwent thing is good, in my opinion. I also like how well, you don't really need to get all that far into Gwent to do most of the main stuff. Like, if you really want 100% everything and get all the cards, yeah, you're going to be running around doing some Gwent, and you're probably going to have to make a deck and blah, blah, blah. You're going to have to invest in it, in other words. But I think most of the Gwent stuff you could go ahead and just kind of mash your way through without having to min-max. That's my opinion. Overall, I think that Gwent deserves at least one gameplay positive. I'm debating anything else at the moment. But I think the mere existence of Gwent and its function as a relatively well-designed minigame, and the fact that it's a fun minigame, and the fact that it is a almost entirely optional minigame, is something that I'm in favor of. Where's my documents? I have so many documents up right now, my goodness. Here we go. Yeah, we can debate more about Gwent for pluses and minuses in the future, but right now I think the mere existence of Gwent and its implementation deserves A+. So that's my thoughts right now. New Vegas is another good example of side card game being... Honestly, New Vegas is a good example of a lot of side content being, you know, main side content, as I used my terminology earlier. So really quick, the Lich King is edgy? Seriously? I mean, I guess we just have different definitions of edgy. You've got a new Gwent card. Woo! Yeah, I think after we do the tournament quests and the Tucson quest, we'll come back around to the Gwent thing. Because I do intend to do the tournament quest. What was that command, by the way? What would my definition of edgy be? Shadow the Hedgehog! As he was initially implemented. He got better later. Ah. Gwent. Gwent? Seriously? Okay. I know what you're thinking. Why put that up there? Well, that'll make it so I can just look it up earlier. There we go. Okay. Didn't I talk to these guys? I thought I talked to these guys.
I'm looking for someone.
And we seek some peace and quiet.
Out of my face, freak. For your breath sours my beer.
Options marked with this will make use of the Axis sign. This sign influences people's minds, causing them to act according to your will.
Just want to talk.
You deaf, Stray? No one here'll talk to you.
If it's company you seek, stick that mangy snout of yours in a trough with the pigs.
Show that shit-eater, Micah.
Running low on patience. Once it's gone, your heads will roll.
Oh, we was jesting. No call for anger.
See a raven-haired woman here, dressed in black and white?
We know nothing, sir. Leave us be.
Alright, I'll leave you alone. Don't worry, Cold Flavius. I'll never let you know when I'm mind-controlling you. Wait. So let's go talk to... me.
Looking for a woman.
Like everyone.
Not like everyone. And not just any woman. Mine smells of lilac and gooseberries, dresses in black and white.
2 schnapsies. It'll lift your spirits.
I never put that together before. Huh. Later on, one of the things you can do to gain a plus towards the Siri ending is to get a drink with her and tell her it'll lift her spirits. So I just want to share something. I've already said this before, but I do want to share this because, you know, recording. I never actually... Like, when I first played this game, I was like, huh, okay. You know, it's this guy. Basically, from my own analysis, from the way I look at games, this guy screamed major NPC. Like everything about him, from his voice acting to his presentation to his dialogue, the specific way he talked, all indicated he was a major NPC. And then I never saw him again. And I admit I kind of was like, huh, I guess I was wrong. Which I know I'm wrong all the time, of course. I'm a terrible, awful, horrible human who's dumb and stupid, but I was really surprised to be wrong about this one. Then I played Heart of Stone. And it was like, oh. Right.
Fine, I'll have a drink. Can we cut to the chase? You seen her or not?
Yennefer of Vengerberg.
Never mentioned her name.
Yet you described her perfectly. And once I hear something, I never forget. Can't help it.
How do you know Yennefer?
What a question. Master Dandelion's ballads, of course. The only way a humble merchant might hope to rub up against greatness. Unless, that is, he's as lucky as I am.
And runs into a very patient witcher.
It's a Geralt of Rivia himself. The Butcher of Blaviken.
Recognize me from Master Dandelion's ballads too?
To your health.
What do you do? Who are you?
A mangy vagrant. Gaunter O'Dim, at your service.
Vagrant? That a profession now?
Once a merchant of mirrors. The madding crowd dubbed me Master Mirror, or the Man of Glass.
Yeah, by the way, you'll notice how he is just dancing around most of this conversation. No, of course not, Gum Gum. Now, first of all, can I just say that I love his voice actor? He does almost nothing. He's been in almost nothing. But the two major works I have heard that voice actor speak in are just phenomenal.
You seen Yennefer?
Deepest apologies, but I must ask. Is this about love?
So, we're going to go with Yennefer for this playthrough. Sorry, guys.
Guessed it. It's love.
I knew it at once.
What do you know? Tell me.
Before you appeared, it never occurred to me that might have been Yennefer. Who would have thought?
Get to the point.
An Nilfgaardian scout from the local garrison saw her.
Where?
At their camp. She rode in there. Dark of night. Black and white. Gooseberries and... Yes, I know. Had a terse exchange with the garrison commander and raced off.
Where to?
I'm not omniscient. Ask at the garrison.
Thanks.
I love that.
We men of the road must stick together. Perhaps one day I'll be in trouble and you'll be nearby to help.
Hey, where'd he go? Whatever. I'm sure they just despawned him, and it's certainly not indicative of anything. I want to talk more about him, but I really should save more discussions about him until we get to, you know, the next game, Heart of Stone. I do have to mention, though, I'm not omniscient. I actually don't think he is omniscient. I don't. I prefer my own interpretation of him, which is that he knows a lot, but he doesn't know everything. Also, I agree with Bragwin. That line about the merchant of mirrors is just kind of... Okay, I suppose we should get this out of the way. So, if you guys want to tear each other to shreds over Triss versus Yennefer, go ahead. Just get it out of your system. It's okay. I'll go ahead and be honest. I don't really have a large preference between the two of them. Not really. I do lean a little bit more towards Yennefer for this type of, you know, stream, this kind of presentation, because I feel like the Yennefer storyline ties more neatly into Geralt's own backstory, as well as is fairly satisfying, I think. It's only fairly satisfying if done just right, I have to admit. But there's something that the romantic in me really likes about the idea of two people who were basically magicked into falling in love with each other, who, after sufficient time and effort working together, actually fell in love with each other. There's something that I like about that. Go ahead, make fun. I don't care. Now, I don't really have anything against Triss. Not really. Like I've poked fun at her in the past for the way she was incredibly manipulative of Geralt, in Witcher 1 specifically. But other than that, Triss is just Triss, and she's fine. And ultimately, I think that I could perfectly see a situation in which Triss and Geralt could also be happy and actually be together long term. You know, that's a thing that I could completely see happening. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is I like that both options are valid. Both options have the opportunity to go badly. Both options have the opportunity to go very well. And that's basically up to you and which choices you make going through the game. And I like that. So... must not give more pluses. Nah, who am I kidding? That's a plus worthy in my opinion. Gameplay or story? I'm being serious, by the way. I do think that's plus worthy. You can choose to have no romance in this game. You could choose to nuke a romance in this game. You could choose to romance one of them and have it work out very well. And both are, in my opinion, very well designed romances. And that's rare. In fiction in general, but especially for a video game. I was leaning story as well, Tazara. The only reason I'm hesitant is because it is effectively a function of gameplay, since it is your choice on which path you choose. Yes, you can also try both romances, and... well... you shouldn't do that. It's probably worth noting that Yennefer and Triss are both stronger than Geralt, so... like, individually, I mean. Let's put it under story. I'm not going to give any pluses to Odim yet, because we'll get there. We'll get there, guys. So let's see. Well, Cone? I will also mention one thing here. And I'm going to mention it here because we're about to have a cutscene. I do stand by what I've said several times. I feel like I said this in the rumination as well. I feel like Triss was designed more for people who were into the games but not the books, and Yennefer was designed more for people who were in the books and not really into the games. That's just my opinion, and I don't actually know how true that is as far as intent. But Triss is the one we had in Witcher 1 and 2. Yennefer kind of comes out of nowhere, at least from the perspective of a gamer. I would also say that Trish strikes me more as someone who is... I should say Triss and Geralt are a pairing that strikes me more as two people who are just starting to get into each other. Whereas Geralt and Yennefer are far more of a old married couple kind of a thing. So there's also a bit of preference with regards to those two. Anywho, whoops, this way.
Yes? What is it, Wolf?
Everything must die.
Realize it's been half a year since we hunted down that fiend in Varun?
Yes. Well, that was more than a fiend. What was that bastard's name? Drugan? May the soil lie light upon him. Things used to be simpler. Monsters were bad, humans good. Now, everything's all confused.
Used to be exactly the same. You've just forgotten.
Do well not to point up my age. You're near a century old yourself.
See you later, Vesemir.
Okay, Right. Ah, come on. There we go.
Done drinking?
Mm-hmm.
Then fuck off.
Don't want your kind here.
I'm torn. No, Tigzar, I'm going to treat it all as one game. Like I usually do with expansions or DLC. Henrietta would have been an interesting choice, admittedly. I'll have a lot to say about her when we get there. She's a fascinating character who's smart, intelligent, and in way over her head and knows how to hide it. Nah, screw it. This is a combat tutorial. Let's just do it.
Better round up someone else to help. 3 of you don't stand a chance against me.
Well, I could fuck you up by myself.
If I had a bag over my head and my hands tied behind... Actually, no, not even then.
Chet, Lesh, back off. I'll teach this vagrant a lesson. Man on freak.
So...
Nice meeting you.
So that's the unarmed minigame. The combat moves actually function a little... The combat engine, excuse me, functions a little bit different when you're in unarmed combat versus when you're actually fighting something normally. I only point that out because the game then turns that into a side quest of sorts, which I will be doing on camera, mostly because I feel like there's a lot of cool things to show off with it, but I digress. So, we're actually going to be doing a few quests here, because of course we are. We're also going to be showing these off. So, hang on. I have just received a request from the Lord Overlord. Uthor. Where was it? I just saw it. I just saw a cat. Where was it? This is probably a good time to mention that I like the doodads in this game. Now, I usually like to point out good doodad usage whenever I can, because I feel like it's an art that needs to be as polished as possible. But I also wanted to point it out because this game does doodads slightly different than a lot of games I've seen. That kid is functionally, and for once I actually mean that on purpose, a doodad as he's being placed here. He's just some kid playing in the puddle. He doesn't have a name, he barely says anything if you talk to him. He's just there for decor. But it really helps to flesh out a lot of the areas where people are at. People and animals both actually function very well as doodad placement within the game. So I suppose I gotta give a plus to the game for that. This is gonna be monumental, guys. I should not have agreed to do pluses. There's gonna be so many pluses. And I don't even feel bad about that. What? I don't. The whole point of the system is to be as fair as I possibly can. Positive and minus. So this is a story plus for doodad placement and usage of items, animals, and people to flesh out areas and make them feel more believable. Oh yeah, we're going to get into the 10s, I guarantee you. There's no way we're not. Is there a way for pluses to go over 50? There's no theoretical cap to pluses. At this point in time, I believe God of War 4, Spider-Man PS4, and Super Metroid, of all things, are our highest rated games that we've done so far in this method. I could be wrong about that. Those are just the ones that were really... Oh yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 also got really high up there in the story. So those 4 games are some of our really highly rated ones. There's a cat. I found a cat, found a cat. No, don't run from me, little kitty. No, come back. Come back, cat, come back. Come back. Why won't you let me pet you? Why? Ah, well. No, it's totally not a lore run. Who have you been talking to? Guys, we need to kill Micro. Where am I? Yeah, that's nice. Oh my god. Okay, there we go. So, this is a good time to mention that these are a plus to story. This is going to become a meme. You just watch. This is going to become a meme. It's for this. See, this is, in my opinion, awesome design. Because we have actual quests here. That's a quest right there. And then we have little stuff like this, which says, and I quote, "The Imperial Garrison hereby announces that every week the village's poor may come to collect food rations. Rations will only be distributed to supplicants able to document proof of their poverty. Cheats will be punished like any other thieves and to the full extent of the law." Imperial Edict 1845. "Let it be hereby known that, by order of His Imperial Majesty's High Command, all able-bodied men of White Orchard must present themselves at the village inn equipped with a shovel, hoe, or pickaxe of their own provision. The fields near the village are littered with corpses, and given the warm spring we are currently experiencing, High Command fears the rotting bodies might bring contagion to the village. Let this stand as proof to the residents of White Orchard that their new rulers care for their safety and shall defend them not only from bandits but from disease by introducing measures which have long been the standard in the civilized world. Any man refusing to comply will be flogged and put in the stocks." That is the Nilfgaardians right there, really. I think that's if I was to summarize the Nilfgaardians in one paragraph, that would be it, right there. Everyone get together and help do this so we can take care of you. If you don't, you're screwed. This is very much, the Nilfgaardians are very much into the stick and carrot approach, just like the Dominion over in Star Trek, which is kind of not good, if we're being honest, but at the same time, you can understand why the carrot and the stick approach is so appealing, especially at a national level. I know that sounds horrible, like really, but from a national level, you can't really be a good guy. It's not feasible. It's just not. So if you're out of the national level, in a realistic setting, the only thing you could do is to try and be as nice as you can, right up until they cross you, and then you brutalize them as hard as you can. Very nice carrots, very harsh sticks. I mean, if I had to choose, I'd choose Nilfgaard any day, 10 times out of 10, Console Hot. I'm not allowed to, so I can't. Yeah, it's the tough parent approach on extreme. I agree, Hazardous. Again, not good, but I don't think it's that evil. I know that sounds horrible, but Now, the caveat here, and this is the difference between the Nilfgaardians and the Dominion, at least from what I know, is that the Dominion have the Founders, who are evil. Just evil. Whereas the Nilfgaardians, to my knowledge, do not have a group like the Founders. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong. Is there something like the Founders in Nilfgaard? And I don't want to go... See you around, Fuzzy Duck. I don't want to go too much into the nature of the Founders, especially since we're still discussing that during the DS9 ruminations. All I need to say is that the Founders really are horrible. Just horrible, horrible beings. They are... Ugh. There are several episodes we will be spitting on the Founders when in the DS9 ruminations. My God. Yeah, it's funny because I actually liked Dijkstra as a character. Anyways, we'll get to that in the future. Moving on. Hey lads, are there any among you who can lend me a plow? Thing is, mine smacked up against a stone in the field so hard it bent halfways, and may a fiend take me if I know how to fix it, or plow my field without it. Last night a soldier fled from the army camp under cover of darkness. The wanted man, a recruit who recently volunteered to join His Majesty's service, goes by the name of Audrin. He claims to be a Kedweni by birth, but King Henselt's misrule has convinced him to join the Imperial Army. He was part of said institution for a mere 2 days, but managed to eat and drink enough in that time for an entire regiment of dragoons. Anyone with information about this deserter's present location is to report to the garrison at once. Description: modest stature, wiry, thinning hair, fled in his undergarments by squeezing out through the latrine's drainage system, and probably thus reeks like an old boar. Characteristic marks can be easily recognized by his voice, which has the telltale rasp of a hardened alcoholic. Anyone found providing shelter or sustenance to this deserter will be subjected to summary court-martial. Ahem. Good folk. Oh, here's a contract. So I know there's a war on and every man's got trouble enough of his own, but maybe there's one of you who'll help a father in need. You all surely know of the well in the ruined village and the devil that guards it with jealous fury. And if you don't know, well, come and ask and I'll tell you about it. Whoever drives this monster away from the well will get a fat purse full of gold. So we'll take that one. And comment on Henselt. That's my comment on Henselt. Bastian, my brother, went off to fight the Black Ones. I've reason to think he stood in the great battle nearby. He's not returned to this day. Like many others, you'll say, and you'll be in the right. But if he fell, and I know it's like he did. God, this dialogue. But if he fell, and I know it's like he did, God, this is hard to read. I'd give him up to the ground the least, like our fathers have done always. I'd bury him neath the barrow where our parents lie, not leave his corpse to be ate by the corpsers prowling the battlegrounds. This is actually a good thing. Bad English. It's kind of hard to read bad English out loud. I should do a different voice. So I seek a man, brave, able with a sword, and willing to venture out with me to find Bastian. I won't pay much, for I've not much to give, but I'm not stingy with gratitude, and I'm sure to show it aplenty. Any man willing to help, look for a raised hut along the road to the White Orchard, just near the bridge. I've made camp there. Job's done. Work complete. Yes, my lord. Righto. More work?
What the fuck am I to do? Eh? What?
What happened here?
Oh, got a wee bit chilly the night, so I set fire to my forge. Got it nice and roaring. Roasted some wieners. What do you think happened, dimwit? Some bugger set alight me workshop. I've lost everything. Everything!
Sorry. Any suspects?
Whole damned village. I've lived here half a century. Thought they saw me as one of their own. But everything changed when the Black Ones came. I'm the only smith around, so I got to service the garrison. Bang dents out of plate, shoe horses. That sort of thing. Nilfgaardians don't pay me a bloody copper. Just give me supplies and orders. But humans can't fathom that. They think I'm getting rich off their misfortune. That I sleep on a pile of gold like a ploughing dragon. They've stopped talking to me. Spit when I pass. And now this.
I can find your arsonist, provided you're willing to pay.
I've not much left, but I'll give you all if you bring me that horse in, so that he gets what he deserves. The night of the fire, I heard movement outside my hut. Went out to see if I could find any tracks, but found nothing. But then I haven't got cat eyes, have I? Good luck.
You'll notice how almost every quest in this tutorial area is a tutorial on the type of activities that will be in the later game. We've got a brief Gwent thing. We've got a tracking quest. We've got a quest to go kill something for reward. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 other quests, which I don't remember what they are off the top of my head. But yeah, it's this fairly basic game tutorialization. It's well done, and that's why I gave a plus for it. I just wanted to comment on it here. Yeah, there's an escort here, too. There's also a boss battle, which boss fights, as I've talked about earlier, boss fights function a little differently from everything else, so. I feel like there's a crafting quest, too, here. I could be wrong about that, but anyways, I was going to respond to something someone said in chat. Oh, yeah! Someone mentioned how the Nilfgaardians aren't racist or speciest or whatever. Now, obviously, there's some exceptions there. But why is that always a thing in fiction? If you don't know what I mean by that, do you know what the Twilight's Hammer is over in Warcraft? On the off chance you don't, I'll tell you in brief. They're an insane, crazy, end-of-the-world cult that serves the old gods. And guess what? They're not racist. At all. They accept all species, all genders, all walks of life. They're very accepting. You know another group that's very accepting? I'll use Warcraft again as an example here. The Cult of the Damned. You know who's not accepting? The Alliance. Or the Horde. You know, the good guys. I'm sorry, it's really common. It's really common in fiction for, like, the bad guys, whether literally or otherwise, to be like, yes, come, we embrace you. Join us. I mean, God's sakes. Yes, it does. That just means they're part of a guild, Gum. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, sorry. Moving on. So what's up with the graphics? Like, I have the graphics cranked as high as they go, with the exception of the hairworks, which I have turned off because the hairworks are dumb. Oh yeah, sorry, I should point out something. You may or may not notice it because it's really small. But you may notice that there's actually a path on the mini-map, in addition to just the angle. So you can see I have a quest to go ask the Nilfgaardians about Yennefer. Now the quest just aims right there, just straight. I could just beeline to it if I wanted to. But in the off chance I didn't want to, I could actually just follow the path, and there's an indicator showing which path I should follow it which way. Now, I've actually shown in the past how this path is not 100% well done, because sometimes you can confuse it, especially when you go underground. But it's a nice touch. And it's rendered basically on the fly, as in, it's not... It's done like GTA 5, not like GTA San Andreas, to use a direct parallel. And yeah, you can also hop on Roach and let him do it. We're actually not going to do any of that, though. We're going to do side quests, because... Well, because they're optional. So, track. Now, I believe... I'm not the one who has an issue with it, Corrales, so you're going to have to talk to someone else. I believe I have a mod. And I'm right. So I have a mod that shows all of my quest objectives simultaneously, even if I don't have them all tracked. I don't know if the vanilla game does that. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. So, you know, that's not something I can give a plus to the game. Although, That brings me to my big question. How... Yeah, this mod's great. I love this mod. This mod is a godsend. How mod supporty is Witcher 3? Now, in case you don't remember, there's mod support, which is, yes, here's the dev tools, here's the API, figure it out. There's mod accepting, which is, sure, you can mod whatever. And then there's anti-mod, which is trying to make it so that you can't mod the game. These are the three categories of mod support. And I don't actually know how mod supporty Witcher 3 is. I have this on Steam. Actually, I think I own this on GOG as well. And I'm about to own it on the Switch, so I'm going to have 3 copies of this frickin' game. But anyways, yes, Dragon Age Inquisition is the example for a game that is anti-modding. You can still mod Dragon Age Inquisition, but they tried to make it non-moddable. Another good example would be Civ 2 versus Civ 4. Civ 2 was built with all the scripts and all the dev kits in release, so very, very pro-mod. It's the most pro-mod. Civ 4 accepted mods, but didn't actually release all of the dev kits and stuff, at least not when it came out. So that's kind of in the middle. Makes sense? No, Oceans. So from what I'm hearing, it sounds like this game basically sits in the middle, which I don't think I can give a plus for, which is the main reason I ask. Anytime a game is over here, where it is very pro-mod, in my opinion, that deserves a plus. If you're actually going to release those kind of tools, Warcraft 3 would be a plus. StarCraft 2 would be a plus. Oblivion would be a plus. Skyrim would be a plus. God, I don't know. I'm trying to think of other examples, but any game that really just goes way out of its way to support modding and release dev toolkits and all that fun stuff, that's a plus. Now, it does have a Steam Workshop. Supposedly. I don't see it right here. I think you're lying to me. Okay, I'm sorry. So I'm looking at Steam right now, right? And I have in the news, there's a thing that says, is a Switch port of The Witcher 3 actually viable? I think we're past that question at this point. I know it has mods on Nexus. All of the mods I'm using are Nexus mods. But I don't see any Steam Workshop support. I'm actually looking for it right now. Not that it matters. It would still be the second category. Mod accepting is still good. I don't think it's a positive. I don't think it deserves its own positive. And that's a shame. Still good. To be clear, being anti-mod, like, say, Dragon Age Inquisition, would be a negative. Oh, God. Yeah. Hi. Ah! Okay. Is that it? We're good? There's no more? There's no more. We're safe! There's no more donations. Thank goodness. Also, I'm not sure why you say a Horizon Zero Dawn DLC run will never happen, Eberron. You do know that's for the DLC, right? I just want to make that very clear. Either way, thank you very much, Eberron. And thank you very much, Hushy Love. As always, I appreciate that support. Now, if you have something that you want to put that towards for a future stream, just let me know. I like to do that. If you're not familiar with me and the way I do things, people can put subs or donations towards a future stream happening, basically. And I've already got a whole list of stuff that people will put towards on the website. So someone asked my favorite side quest. I don't know if I have... God, how do I name just one side quest in this game that's my favorite? I like the heist. I don't remember if that's a side quest or a main quest. I feel like that was a Heart of Stone main quest. So I guess that doesn't count. Oh, the Roach! Oh, yeah, Roach. Duh, that's such an obvious one. We'll go with Roach for the side quest. Oh, okay, Eberron. I will change that to Link's Awakening. Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn, we've already streamed that. We're done with that. It is a done thing. So I put it towards Link's Awakening, then. Yeah, Roach is too easy. Let's come up with another one. Wait, the Bloody Baron is... You're right, the Bloody Baron is a side quest. Well, I mean, that's a gimme then. I love the Bloody Baron. The whole quest arc. That's phenomenal. Hang on. Damn, I don't remember what's side or what's main anymore. See, the part of the problem here? This is why I brought up the layers of side content. Astral Chain. Actually, I believe that is something that's people have already put money towards. So, I should love to Astral Chain. So noted. And thank you again. Hang on, Gum Gum. I completely missed your question. This is probably, for example, this is probably a bad stream for these kind of questions, by the way, because we got so much to talk about for the game we're actually streaming. I know I labeled it a chill run. I was apparently lying. I don't think so. I just read your thing, and I don't think that actually changes anything, Gum Gum. Like, I don't see how that would be applicable as law. Yeah. Yeah, it's a gush run. This is a gush run.
Lost your key, ma'am?
No, not me key. Me pan. It always sat there empty, this hut. That is, till the night afore the battle. A man arrived. Walked right in like 'twere his own. Standing at my window, peering at the goings-on. He must have read me, 'cause next I knew, there he was, coming my way. I grabbed me pan, for protection, see? But he just asks all polite, Gran, got any birch bark by chance? Lilac berries or even a few coals? Nay, says I. And you must be right daft to pester folk at night with such foolery. But I sees he ain't listening. Just staring at me pan like a magpie at a copper. Lend it to me, Gran. I'll give it back come morn. He's right baffled for what's he doing, frying in the dark. But I've got a soft heart, so I gave it to him.
First of all, thank you very much, Tesvir. Much appreciated as always. If you know what you want to put that towards for a future stream, just let me know. One moment. I've been talking too much today. There's a lot to talk about this game. What do you guys want from me? It's a gush run. And someone said I should update the name of the stream. I'm pretty sure the title of the stream right now is a chill premiere Not-Lorerun. And I think that's accurate, right? That's accurate, right? I'll put it towards Cyberpunk. Tesvir. See you around, Eberron. Have a good one. Not lore gush run. There. We'll add one more thing to it. It is now in the title. I like this quest, by the way. So, okay, real quick. I do actually have something to say about that cutscene. That is a textbook example of what I meant about using the default animations, the BioWare thing, the BioWare standard, with manual crafting in order to craft a cutscene. So the step forward and the stance and the step forward and the stance, all of that is default animations. None of that is a separate person. They didn't have to have a separate person come in and do motion capture for that. Instead, what they had was they had a director who was like, okay, I want the camera here, and I want to show him, and I want her to move here, and I want her to move there. And just all of that was all stuff that was default animations. But because of the way it is used, it comes across as well animated. And that's what I love about the BioWare standard, because if used properly, it's actually a great tool. And I think this game uses it wonderfully. Anyways.
Interesting. What happened then?
Afore dawn, another rode up to the hut. But come on, only the first fella left locked the door, hopped on his horse, and that were all I saw of him, and me pan. 'Twere old, black with sort, not worth much, I suppose, but I've no other. Will you help me, dearie? Bring an old widower pan. I could never break down that door myself. And in truth, I'm afeard to go in any road. Such a stench wafting out. Methinks the other fellow. Well, there he's lying there.
Yeah, all right.
Never taken on a pan contract. Fine, I'll go in, look around. You should wait here, just in case.
And you should change your audio settings because, good God! I've already given the negative, but damn, let's turn these down even more. Okay, that sounds decent-ish. Oh, fine, I'll use a grenade. I don't have any grenades. Ah. So, I mentioned how this is all the quests here are tutorial quests to some extent or another. Well, that's the hang on. Give me just a moment. No, I know I could use AR, but I want to use as a grenade. But I don't know if I have enough stuff to make a grenade, and it appears I don't have any grenades on me. Which is what I was checking for. So, let's go here. That's nice, that's nice, that's nice, that's nice. Oh my god, that's great. That's wonderful. Stop existing. Okay. I guess it is alchemy, isn't it? So I want bombs. Grape shot. Alright, speaking of little details. Or am I an idiot? Nope, I'm an idiot. Ignore me. Idiocy engaged.
A corpse explains the stench. His throat, he was garroted. And some old scars. Kind of soldier might have.
What's that, dearie?
Nothing.
Don't mind me.
Cracked monocle. Interesting.
But when I gab to myself, they say I'm going barmy.
Oh yeah, Geralt likes to talk to himself. I like to think that most of that's actually internal, not external. Still. So, what do you guys think of the Geralt talks to himself aspect of the gameplay? I do have something to say about it, but I'm curious what you guys think about it.
Documents, almost entirely burnt. A few pieces still legible.
Found the pan, have ye?
And when you arrange to meet, you better frickin' show up. I did, risking my life, and the entire blasted operation ended up standing there with my cock in my hands waiting for nothing. I thought the Nilfgaardian army was better organized than that. But you... Tell the blessed Lord General of yours that me and my companions don't hold grudges, so we won't break off negotiations. But since our old plan's gone horrible, this time we'll choose the time and place of our next meeting. Make sure that's everything before we move forward. Don't worry, we're not going to loot the poor woman's house.
The priceless frying pan. Scrubbed clean. Looks like the mystery man didn't need the pan so much as the soot off it to make ink, write letters.
pan, have ye?
Here, your frying pan.
Mine? But mine were black with soot. And I could see myself in this one if I wanted. But them years are past.
It was the soot the man needed. He scraped it off to make ink. Must have had an urgent letter to write. Urgently burned some other documents too.
And the other fellow?
Dead. Round up a few boys and bury him outside the village. Deep, so the necrophages don't dig him up. And take my advice. Don't mention this to the Nilfgaardians.
Hang about! You've earned a token of thanks. Here, sonny, for the road. Fry up a nice white fish for supper.
Don't worry, guys. There's no continuity here. Don't stress. Don't stress. Okay. Whoops. 5 baked apples. Honestly, and I know this sounds like a joke, but that's actually a pretty good reward for this point in the game. Food is an excellent source of recovery at this point in the game, as I learned after many, many people told me how stupid I was for not realizing that food was an excellent source of recovery in this game. Where am I? Where am I? I guess this quest isn't here yet. Oh, whatever. Let's go ahead and get the warp point anyways. While we're here. Go away. Whoops, let's try that again. There we go. No. Oh, God! Ah. Hi, Munch. You know, we were talking earlier today about how to convince people to not donate more money to things like Cyberpunk. Go figure. But thank you very much, as always, Munch DK. Much appreciated. And I have jotted that down for Cyberpunk. I know, right, Corrales? It's not coming out for well, less than a year, but still. That's a long ways out. That's a question I don't know how to answer. How does this game approach its trash enemies? Well, we'll vote on it when we get there, Zeiss. Well, like I said, we'll have a poll on that probably in February. We'll see. Hang on. I did that. I did that. I didn't do that, though. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, Gold Flavius. Well, I know what he wants me to do. He wants me to play Halo. Which one, Gold Flavius, if you don't mind my asking? Either way, thank you, Gold Flavius. Much appreciated. Halo 1, you got it. Is that? That is. Oh yeah, so another mod I have is the ability to fast travel from anywhere. I don't think I have to explain why I have that mod.
We'll look for Bastion later, once it's safe.
What note? On what tree? What are you talking about? Oh, you mean the hanging tree? Yeah, see, remember when we saw this, when we were streaming this for the first time, and it was just like, ugh. Oh, God! Oh, God! No! No! Is she gone? Okay. That was a close one, guys. Never even heard of that mod, Chemic. Thank you, Hushy Love. Thank you. 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 Very, very much. As always, much appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Now, do you know what you want to put all those subs towards? Because holy crap. I was in such a rush to get up and grab blue that I actually banged my knee, so I'm just sitting here like, ah. Right now. Astral Chain, you got it. Hang on a second. I'll just do this. There you go. Perfect. I'll just add it to the previous one. So noted. And thank you again. What was I doing? Oh yeah, the hanging tree. Right. Directive A-289. Burying the bodies of hanged deserters and rebels is hereby... is strictly forbidden. Anyone caught trying to cut down hanging corpses will be summarily executed. Nice people. Thank you, Goopster. Thank you very, very much. As always. Much appreciated. And I have written that down for Dying Light, too. Now, funnily enough, upon a time, I'm actually already aware of that. I am fully cognizant of how much that mod can mess with things, so I usually only use it when in examples like I just did. Usually. There will be exceptions, obviously. Oh my god. There's drowners! Horrible, horrible drowners. And they're all dead. Okay, we're good. Wah! We're cool. We're cool. Nothing to see here.
Do that often? Talk to your dog?
It's my brother's, Bastion's. But guess he's mine now. See, Bastion fought the Black Ones in a battle just outside the village. Haven't had word of him since. I told him, do like I did, lose a finger or two so they won't recruit you. Too damn afeard he was. Bloody hell.
That's one way to try to dodge recruitment. Yeesh. Do I have... Yep, we're good.
I'd walk the battlefield if I were you.
I did. Sea of corpses. And corpsers feeding. Someone told me they were feared of fire, so I took a torch, tried to chase them off. Horse shite, I tell you. Would have ended up eaten alive if it weren't for Hussar here. Listen, guessing you carry those swords for more than show. Come with me. Keep the ghouls off. Help me find Bastion and I'll pay you well.
Alright.
Fine, I'll help you. Just been a few days since the battle. Chances we find your brother alive are slim. Very slim.
I would have thought, but I want to find his body at least. So Bastion don't rot there in the sun with the Black Ones. Meet me on the hill overlooking the battlefield. We'll move on together from there.
What are you screaming at? What?
I don't like you, White One.
Clearly! Jesus. So... It's the E3. Oh god, it's the Bethesda guys! Woo! So...
What did old Ernest prophesy before he turned his toes up? That war was nigh. Lucky he didn't live to see it himself.
NPCs, yeah! Okay, so I had a couple things I wanted to comment on there. So I made the mention earlier of how they literally called the Nilfgaardians the Black Ones in Witcher 1 and 2. And I mentioned that in the phrase of that was indicative of how much they disliked the Nilfgaardians. Now, it is probably worth noting that the term Black Ones actually refers to their banner? I can't think of the right terminology, but it's a more or less literal demonstrative. Yeah, their armor. It's like calling the French legions the blue guys at a certain point in history, right? However, I should have clarified this, and that's why I was waiting for an indicative of it. That's not what I meant. Obviously, the Black Ones is just them. It's like, no, they're the Black Ones. It's the way they say it that gets it across. Did you hear how the guy just now used the terminology, the Black Ones? Like, he said it like he was trying not to spit the word out. And he said it in the context of, I would rather not have my brother rotting with the Black Ones. That's what I meant by that. It was how they were using the terminology. It was basically an invective. And they were using that consistently in Witcher 1 and 2. They do it in 3 as well, obviously. But that's why I mentioned that. Because in Witcher 1 and 2, they were universally portrayed as the bad guys. This one grays it up a bit. So here's the same notice as earlier. Just wanted to show that off real quick. So this is going to be an escort quest, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like there's another escort quest here. The one with the dog. No, not this one. Oh, yeah! This is a monster nest. Die, 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 die. Thank you.
Ghoul nest. I want to just destroy it.
Destroy the nest. I don't remember how to destroy the nest. Oh, yeah, I need bombs. Well, fortunately, I actually did make a bomb earlier for unrelated reasons. So we'll just do that. And voila! Monster nest destroyed. Also a tutorial on how monster nests work. I have infinite power, yes, Permeus. Infinite power. Anyways. But hang on, let me go to if and but. If and but. Who wants to put it towards Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. So noted. And thank you again, if and but. And yes, of course we're using cheats. This is a Not-Quite-Lorerun. And I'd like to beat this game sometime this month. Oh yeah, sorry. So, I should mention why I did that. Right. So the whole point I was trying to get across with the nests is that's the third category of optional. Like there's main optional, side optional, and optional optional. Those nests are generally optional. You can go do it, you can get some loot, you can get some experience, but there's no real content there. It's just something you can do as a side activity.
You're here, good. Bastion... his body must be here somewhere.
Among countless others. Want to examine them one by one? Could take a while.
You needn't fret. The recruits from White Orchard painted a small flower on their shields so as to be able to spot each other in battle. There was just a few of them. We look for the flowers, we'll find Bastion quick.
No offense, but many a soldier's dropped his shield. Especially if he was on the losing side.
If we find the shield alone, Hassan will catch the scent and lead us to Bastion. Come on. Sooner we get this done, the better.
Okay. No, I did not, Fenrir. Excuse me. Oh my goodness.
Corpses. And the war's just started.
So someone in chat mentioned this earlier, and I want to agree. Very rarely... Hang on. Very rarely do we see this kind of a thing in a video game, where... I'm trying to think how to properly phrase this. We've played a lot of video games about war. Hundreds upon hundreds of them, right? And there are a lot of video games where they portray war romanticized, right? Like, war, glory, yeah, right? And then there are still also plenty of video games that portray war as horrible and brutal, and Terwax 1, for example. Wait, that sounds horrible. I'm sorry, Terwax 1, I didn't mean you're a war. Or are you? Thank you, Terwaxman. Much appreciated as always. Do you know what you want to put that towards? So, exactly. See, Carbon understands. So yeah, those are usually the two ways war is portrayed when it comes to video games. It is actually pretty rare that you see a video game that follows in the wake of war. We do see it every now and again. This War of Mine, which is a very brief, very horrible, wonderfully dark PC game, which I highly recommend, actually, is a good example of a game that happens in the wake of war. And that's what we have in Witcher 3. While there is an active war going on, we basically never really see it, other than the
Of course you follow me. They all do.
Other than the initial intro and a few tidbits about the battles going on. We'll go to certain camps, we'll hear about fighting going on, we'll learn about the ebb and flow of the exact front lines, but Witcher 3 doesn't actually put us onto the front lines like a lot of other games would. Instead, it's usually this. The war has already happened here. The battle has already happened here, to be more accurate. The battle happened here days ago. Now we're dealing with what's left over. And it's unique. It's a different perspective. It's still war is a mess, as I mentioned, the second category. But it's more like the mess that's left as opposed to the mess that's actually happening. And I do like this perspective on it. It's a very... It helps add to the grounded and believability nature of the game. Now I gotta go see who donated in the middle of that. It was the good senator who was asking his question for the third time. I thought I answered you. I guess I answered you in my head. I'm sorry. First, Terwax1, do you know what you want to put your sub to? Second, the good senator, what do you want to put your donation towards, since neither of you told me that? Either way, thank you very much, the good senator. Much appreciated as always. So the good senator asks, for the third time, how do you feel about being able to rob... I'm never going to be able to talk. How do you feel about being able to rob everyone and no one has a problem with it? It doesn't make sense for the character or the setting. I agree completely, but I don't think it should be limited. So what I mean by that is if the game made it so that, for example, it did the Skyrim approach, where all the stuff in houses was all red, and, you know, grabbing it would be like, hey, you violated the law, prepare to die, you know, that kind of a thing. That would just irritate me. Mostly because of the fact that I feel that that would be a limitation on the player and the gameplay. Now, you might notice I don't loot that kind of stuff for the most part. Because that's my choice. Because I don't want to loot that kind of stuff. Because it makes more sense to me, in character and in setting, not to just go and loot whoring, right? But it is a true reality that looting everything in sight is a fairly common thing when it comes to games of this nature. Right? I mean, there's a reason so many mods exist in the Elder Scrolls series in order to specifically allow people to loot more, loot faster, or loot better. You know, do more stuff with the loot that they get. So give me just 1 second here. Yeah, it's the pottery thing in Link. It really is. So what I'm trying to say is, well, I could absolutely see why it bothers you, good Senator.
Your dedication will be rewarded.
Well, I can absolutely see why it bothers you. It doesn't bother me that much because it's not something you have to do, basically. Now, I could be wrong about that. Maybe it is necessary for the sake of having enough equipment and materials in order to, you know, be able to craft stuff, for example. That's possible. I don't know. I've never played this game past Novigrad without cheating, so you guys can inform me on that one. As per your will. Where is... Hang on, I'm catching up on these. So, Terwax 1. I want to put it towards Battlefleet. Okay, so Terwax 1. Battlefleet Gothic. Okay, thank you very much, Overseer USA. Much appreciate your sub, which I have put towards Jade Empire. And... thank you, Carbon, for stabbing me in the chest. Yeah, no, it's been pretty bad all day. Meanwhile, Carbon's like, oh, I'm going to put it towards Cyberpunk! Or nothing. Please don't put it towards Andromeda. Don't do it, man. I'm begging you. No, you can do it if you want to. I'll just die. Oh, Zvila was on earlier. I meant to talk to him. Whatever. Is that everything? Am I caught up? Except for Carbon? Okay, no, I'm not caught up because Carbon wants to put it towards Unity. Absolutely. So noted. And thank you. Thank you very much, Carbon. Okay, so, Wake of War. As I was talking about.
That him?
No. Neighbour's son.
Come on, Hussar. Can you smell Bastion, boy?
Still nothing.
That him?
No. Neighbour's son.
You notice how, once again, this tutorial continues to do an excellent job of being a tutorial. Gameplay and story-wise.
Come on, Hussar. Can you smell Bastion, boy?
Still nothing.
We've got detection quests, we've got escort quests. There's actually an escort quest later.
That him?
No. Doesn't look anything like him.
So you're on Dream Whisperer. We got the boss quest, we've got...
Can you smell Bastion, boy?
We've got a contract quest.
Skin's burned off. Might be hard to tell, I know, but could this be him?
Oh, yeah. Bastion was big, broad-shouldered. This one seems smaller, but maybe it's the fire did that.
He found him! Hussar's caught his scent! Come on!
Now, I'm going to admit something that's going to make you guys want to kill me and stab me with spikes. I don't care for most of the music in this game.
But there is more. My lieutenant demanded we defecate on command. Ballista bolts, landing all around, and all he could say was, "A soldier with a full stomach will not step onto the battlefield." Now shit, that is an order. Can you believe it? The cretin.
Stop! You're killing me. My ribs. It hurts to laugh.
That needs a tourniquet. But first, want to explain what's going on here?
Bastion! Is he... Has this Nilfgaardian captured you?
No. He saved my life. I got a cut to my side, and then got hit in the head. Couldn't see anything. Rosin here found me as he crawled across the battlefield. His legs twisted. And so we were. A blind man leading a cripple. Found this place.
I'm taking you home. We need to see to these wounds.
I won't leave Rosin here. Alone he'll die. And he can't go back to his own. He's deserted. They'll hang him.
And what if they find him with us? They'll hang us all, my Laisha included. No, the Blackened stays here.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it, Seth? And I don't mean that as a joke. I was also... I usually tend to be leery of any game that people say is truly amazing.
Of course you follow me. They all do.
And I love this game. I don't even like this franchise. So Carbon apparently wants to stab me even more than I already thought he did. That's kind of terrible, Carbon, but that's okay. You know, I don't actually have Viscera. I replaced it a while ago, so we're cool on that. There's a bit of blood, though, so... I'm going to go ahead and answer the music question. No, I'm not. I'll answer the music question in a minute. Don't worry, I know exactly how I want to answer the music question. I don't know which to answer. Anyways, thank you, Carbon. Thank you again. Please stop giving me money. Do you want to put that towards the game that you just put it towards, which is Unity? I'm assuming you want to put it towards Unity as well? I'm just going to jot that down, assume the answer is yes in about 30 seconds here. For the record, I like this song, but more to the point, thank you again, Carbon, more to the point, I feel a lot of the music is excellently directed, but not particularly memorable. There are a few songs that are very memorable, but for the most part, it's just part of the scene. However, I don't mean to say that dismissively. Rather, it's more like, it's the John Williams thing. I know what you're thinking. Lore, you're an idiot. But hear me out for a second. In the Star Wars soundtrack, if you pull out all the music from Star Wars, the original trilogy, and was to listen to it, there's a few songs that are amazingly iconic. And then there's everything else. Most of what John Williams done is to the scene. It is specifically designed to pull a feeling or emotion or some kind of impact out of a scene to help highlight and advance it. But if you listen to the song segregate from the scene, it's just different. There's a few exceptions, of course, just like there are in this game. But for the most part, most of the music, percentage-wise, of the original trilogy is just kind of there. I would bet money that there are certain songs that if I was just to play it right now, I'm not going to do it because I get copyrighted to hell and back, but if I was to play certain parts of the Star Wars soundtrack, there would be people in chat who'd be like, I don't even recognize that, because it just plays in the background during a scene where the music is not the emphasis. Like the song that plays, well, I'm not going to go into examples. Now, there are exceptions. Duel of the Fates, the Imperial March, the Force theme, which actually really started becoming a thing in Empire Strikes Back. You know, da-na-na-na-na, you know, that thing. Da-da-da-da-da-da, right? But for the most part, most of the music is designed for the moment. And that's what Witcher 3 music feel like. That's all I was trying to get around to. That's why I say I don't really care for the music. There's only one song I actively dislike, and we'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to go and hit 2.
Bastion only made it with the Black One's help. Maybe you ought to show him Nordlings aren't as barbarous as Nilfgaardians make us out to be.
Well, I could give him our pa's clothes, teach him to work the field, but that accent... Fine, I'll take him in. Thank you, Witcher. Your reward, and the gods protect you.
Now I know what you're thinking. Hang on, we didn't even do anything there, really. Well, actually we did. And that's one of the things I like about this game, is the fact that the tutorials keep happening for some reason. Hang on a second. One moment. I'm having repeated tutorials, and I shouldn't be. Someone go stab Chemic for me really quick, please. I guess we just get rid of tutorials. I've kind of figured out how to play the game. Anyway, sorry, so we didn't really do much. Well, we actually kind of did. Right at the beginning. We showed up, and there were ghouls there. Those ghouls would have killed him. Just, there's no question there. That's another thing this game does pretty well. The game does a good job of showcasing how this stuff is from the perspective of the individual, the normal person. The average NPC is completely helpless against one ghoul, never mind 3. And I do like that perspective. I like that portrayal. That's also true, Nascosta. We helped to convince him towards the end there, and that's a very valid point as well. But my point being, even from an in-character perspective, we were pretty relevant in regards to making sure that he stayed alive long enough to get to that point. Oh yes, there's also a lot of intentional sequence breaking you can do in this game, which... Wanted honeycombs will pay top coin. Which is kind of cool in its own right. Now, we're going to be doing these mostly in order because I want to showcase as much of the content as possible, but you can skip ahead for a lot of this stuff. Let's see. There we are. He does Hazardous, absolutely right. Parts of the Caribbean soundtrack is another good example, I agree with that. Because there's some songs that are incredibly iconic from the Caribbean soundtrack, right? Dun-dun-dun, 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 right? And then there's the rest. which I bet most people wouldn't even recognize if they heard it right now.
Boot prints. A man's. Large. Took off his boots and went in the water. Probably wanted to cover his trail.
But I am beyond his meager capacity to hide his trail, hopefully. Anyways, my reason for bringing that up is I came across a really stupid realization many years ago. That there's a difference between ambionic soundtracks and distinctive soundtracks. Those aren't codified terms, don't quote me on that. But let me use a direct example. I could hear any song from Final Fantasy IV soundtrack right now, name it, remember it, and listen to it on its own right, completely segregate from the game. All of those songs are very iconic, very enjoyable to me, even if I was to never actually play FF4 again. I would still keep listening to the music. By contrast, we have the games that have the ambiance music, where it's like, yeah, okay, that's good in the game, but I don't think I'd actually listen to it outside of the game. I think one of the first games I ever pointed this out for on the show was actually Mass Effect 1, but I came across this realization years ago. Because as a kid, well, I grew up with the NES era. What do you want from me? Most of the game soundtracks I heard as a kid were more of the iconic kind. Mega Man, right? Or Mario Brothers. It took a while for me to encounter games like Fallout. Actually, I think Fallout 1 or Baldur's Gate 1. I'm not sure which one it was. But either way, one of those two were one of the first games I encountered, which had the I could barely... There's music there, and it's decent, but I couldn't recall it if you asked me to from a few hours from then.
Something jumped out of the rushes. Drowners. But he managed to escape.
Freaking drowners. Go away. Go away. Gross things.
Lost his boots in the rush.
How much of that is quantity?
Well, back to the village.
Thanks for the example, drowners. But yeah, no, I do think Larian has the right of it. I think it's down to a bit of personal taste.
Bleeding, but not badly. Surface wound.
But it is also worth noting that there is a different approach to writing music for a scene or writing music for an idea. If you write a song that's supposed to be... That's funny, Huthor. If you write a song that's designed to be an overworld song, right? Then you're trying to get a certain feel, a certain vibe from it. But ultimately, that's it. You're trying to make a song based on a concept or an idea. Whereas, to use a separate example, if you're trying to make a song for a specific scene, if there's one moment in a film or one sequence of events in a game that you're trying to write music for, then it's a different approach from a compositional perspective. You're doing something differently, even walking into it, regardless of quality or lack thereof.
Barbarians.
Of course, I've been criticized many times for holding John Williams as high as I do as a composer and as a conductor, so make of that what you will, Huthor.
The trail ends here, but I'll recognize him by his wounds.
And his wounds are gone. Hey, what's up?
Claw marks. It's gotta be him. Nasty wound. Run into a drowner?
What the fuck do you care?
Whoa, our arsonist's a charmer too. Come on, Smith wants to talk to you.
I ain't not talk to a non-human. Sons of bitches all, and dwarves are the worst. Greedy little magpies, do anything for gold they will. They forge the blades the black ones put to our throats, am I not right? Listen, we can work this out man to man. I give you gold, you don't turn me in. My mum died a while back and I sold her tools. I've spent some, but what's left is yours.
Absolutely, Tigzar. I in fact hope to do exactly that. So, I don't need money.
Magpies and dwarves might be greedy, but I'm not. can't buy me.
And I'll beat your fucking mug to a pulp.
Nah.
Calm down. Now follow me.
Come here. You'll notice that several of these quests, as in more than one, also have the ability to do skills in quest dialogue, like the sign that we just did.
For trouble.
Is he not? No, whatever. It's like he's not actually following me, but whatever.
It's raining, it's pouring, and Vermeer's snoring. He bumped his head when he went to bed and wet himself. Good morning.
Well, that's treason. Time to kill the kid. I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Up and at 'em.
What's going on?
Here you go. One village pyromaniac in the flesh.
Nap? You? I knew your mum for years. Charged her nary a copper. This is how you repay me. I've had enough. Hey, soldier. A minute of your time, please.
No! Willis, I beg you. I was drunk. Didn't know what I was doing.
I've told you, Master Willis. We will help you rebuild once reinforcements come. The supplies have been ordered.
Not what this is about, mate. This here's the arsonist. A witcher found him.
The forge was important to the garrison. Destroying it was sabotage. No trial needed here. Just a tree.
Well.
Harsh as punishment goes.
But deserved. You know, I hated the Black Ones at first, like everybody else did. Now I'm thinking they might just bring order to this place. Teach these layabouts some manners. But enough about that. Your reward. And I managed to save some things from the fire. Anvil still holds, so I'm sure I can bang something out on it. You need anything, let me know. Give you a good price.
So, let me go ahead and admit that I don't think that guy should have been killed. I do think he should have been punished, and I do think he should have been punished severely. What he did was horrible for multiple reasons. But killing? Bit much. IMO. Yeah, lashes? I mean, that's pretty bad, as we'll talk about. We'll actually be talking about lashes. In fact, I think every time I've talked about this game, I've brought up the lashes thing. Like, every friggin' time.
Making me a slingshot. Gonna hunt bears.
Of course, this goes back to what I mentioned about the Nilfgaardians. Stick. Carrot. Well, as I've said before, they use the stick to excess. Like they don't do this. No, they oh god. How many more of these do I have to take? 38. Yeah.
Greetings, good man. Having trouble with your well? That's what I read.
Aye. 'Tis haunted. Has been for a good 20 years.
20? So why'd you put out a notice just now?
'Cause earlier on we drew our water from the river. But so many corpses floating in it after the battle it's turned noxious. My daughter Mandy drank half a pitcher. Fell dreadful ill, can't keep nothing down. She grows worse by the day. Herbalist claims you fight a fever with drink. And not beer nor cider, but water. Clear, pure water. And where am I to get that if not from the well? But first, the ghost's got to be driven away. And it don't let any man near.
Now, this is a really good quest, so I'm going to interrupt it now. How many of you noticed that this is the same face we've seen 3 times before? I've been keeping track because it's one of the most common faces I see. The other one is the one that we saw on the butler guy earlier. Just like with other BioWare games, they do like to repeat the same facial models underneath. They do stuff to flesh it out, different hats, different outfits, different beards, you know, that different mustache. But in general, they do like to repeat faces. They repeat voice actors, too. I only mention this because I've noticed a few people don't notice it, which is fine. I'm not trying to be like, you suck, or trying to call people out. What I'm trying to say is that it's actually really cool because it shows how much effort they've put into trying to vary it up. That's all. It is still noticeable, especially if you play the game in one big chunk like we tend to do.
This ghost. Describe it for me.
Well, it's awful frightening. Awful.
I meant, what does it look like?
It looks like a woman, but fresh from the grave. Wears a dirty dress, all rags, its skin flaking off its bones, and it howls.
Okay, I hate to pause this, but I need to give this game another positive. Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll put this under story. I should probably give another positive at some point. Yeah, there we go. 2 more positives for story. Yeah, basically for the directing, for the usages of camera. Yeah, the camera direction's phenomenal in this game. They use a lot of really good camera angles, and it's not even like the best stuff, right? It's not like the most amazing camera angles in the history of the universe, but they do use camera angles at all. And I know that sounds like a strange thing to point out, but how many of you have played KOTOR lately? Or Dragon Age Origins? How about Tor? Tor's a more recent one. I point these out as specific examples because a lot of the older BioWare games, they had this thing where the camera would just lock right onto their face, and the camera would just stay at their face, wherever their face happens to be. It's actually especially jarring in Jade Empire, where it'll just kind of jump back and forth between faces, and it can just really screw with a scene. Then they started getting better about it. With Dragon Age Origins and with Mass Effect, they got to the point where they could use more than just the face cam, but even then it was still just like a couple of footsteps out of it. I mentioned Tor because Tor probably goes the furthest as far as varying up the usage of camera when it comes to cutscenes. Tor is the kind of game that will actually do things as innovative as a shot of an empty corridor, and then the player starts running through the corridor as you're going through. Now that sounds very basic, but that's the kind of thing you generally couldn't see in previous BioWare games. Just showing the progression of it. But even of all of those games, none of them use the camera as precisely as this game, and that's my point. You'd never see this kind of a shot, the shot I have frozen on here, in this kind of an angle. This is great. Apparently they've gotten even better at it, which is good, because like I said, Tor actually started really pushing the element of that. I know it's weird for me to compliment Tor, but Tor gets credit where Tor deserves credit, in my opinion. So, camera. The second positive, and honestly this is probably going to turn into another positive at some point in the future, is for side quests. Substantial, meaty, enjoyable side quests. Just a plus for side quests. I can almost guarantee that's going to devolve into a second plus for side quests in the future. I'm not sure when. We'll get there.
Like it's suffering.
Some wraith. Or maybe an alp.
If you don't wallop it, Master. If you don't take care of it, that is, it'll come kill me daughter.
I agree, Kira. No, we're not actually there upon a time. But we will. But I didn't import. I'll be selecting one. I've already given a plus for voice acting, actually. I gotta be honest, that'll also probably turn into a second positive later on. I'm pretty sure side quests, voice acting, writing, all of those elements will probably turn into an additional positive further down the road. I haven't given a positive for writing, have I? Nope. So this is just a really generic story positive. Oh my god. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're up to 9. Jesus Christ. So this is for high quality writing, especially in terms of dialogue, making it sound natural, as well as not falling into typical tropes. Guys, help me out. There's got to be negatives in this game. There's negatives in every game. I'm kidding. I can think of several negatives. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Fine, I'll help. Where's this well?
In Havel, a settlement on the heights. It's abandoned now. No one ventures there on account of the ghost being about. Drive it off. Please.
Camera angles. That's a great example of what I'm talking about with the camera angles there. That's such a simple usage of camera. But camera usage doesn't have to be complex to be good. It just has to be good. Oh yeah, the Wild Hunt. That's going to be a definite negative. Yeah, that's true. Possibly 2 negatives. I'll have to debate that. I'm going to get some flack for that. I just realized you guys are going to hate me for giving negatives to the Wild Hunt. Why, Hazardous? I mean, sure. Whatever. What else we got? Let's see. Looking at my map here that Corrales gave me. So we can't do that yet. We did that, and we did that. So yeah, it's basically main quest time. Oh, I know what you're talking. Yeah, okay, sure. We'll go ahead and do that. This way.
Witchers.
So I'll go ahead and give part of my opinion about the Wild Hunt right now. I think that the way it's presented in this game, it probably would have been better if it wasn't in the game at all. I know that that's a strange statement to mean, but let me put it to you this way. It feels like Skyrim. Now, I don't mean that as bad as Skyrim, because Skyrim's main quest is awful, and I think I've discussed that at length when it comes to the Skyrim lore run, which you've already done. It depends on the link, Zygmus. I usually ask you to ask permission first. But what I mean by that is Skyrim's main quest was just not good compared to most of the other stuff in Skyrim. And it's not like Skyrim's quests were phenomenal in general, but you get my point, right? Okay, go ahead, Zygmus, go ahead. So, you know what I'm talking about. There's a trope, I'm sure. I don't know what it's called, where the main quest is just nowhere near as interesting or as enjoyable as the rest of the content of a game, right? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the Wild Hunt kind of suck. That's pretty much exactly what I mean, Uthor.
Damn deer, stripped the bark off the trees again.
One of the... Well, see, it's funny you bring that up, Uthor. One of the things that a lot of people told me in the comments for the ruminations on this game is that I was an idiot, and stupid and terrible, for thinking that the Wild Hunt were pathetic and not actually a world-ending threat. Because apparently they were supposed to be a world-ending doomy threat. Now, I have to say apparently, because I haven't read the books. Sure, we'll go ahead and take this off. Yeah, that's mostly what I'm referring to, Linkinski. Oh yeah, by the way. Bricks. Anyways.
Is it true? Northern women bathe but once every 3 moons?
No. We'll talk about the Wild Hunt later. Let's save that, guys. There's a lot to discuss there.
Hey.
The plague!
I am not the plague.
Barbarians.
Wait, maybe I am the plague.
Military camp. No locals allowed without the express consent of the garrison commander.
I look like a local to you?
You look like trouble.
Dead wrong. I make trouble go away. I'm a witcher.
A witcher? Captain Peter Sagwin Levy is in the tower. Turn right, past the gate.
Guessing your captain's got work for me.
This is the army, Nordling. There is no guessing.
To the tower. Go.
I kind of get where you're coming from with that, Huthor, and in fact, I even agree with you a bit. We'll save it, okay? Let's discuss it later, because we don't even... Like, they've barely been mentioned at this point in the game. In fact, I think they've been mentioned once at this point.
How much grain will your village give?
Whatever you say, Your Excellency.
Look at my hands. Look. See the calluses? These are not the hands of an excellency, but of a farmer. So we speak peasant to peasant. How much can you give?
40 bushels. There'd be more, sir, but our lads, the Temerians, that is, took from us earlier and...
You will give 30, and that will do. Let us settle on it, and I wish to see the transport soon.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you kindly.
Ladies and gentlemen, carrot. Remember it.
I summoned only the Elderman and the smith, Willis. But it is said he is a dwarf. You are too tall to be him.
Very perceptive of you. Geralt of Rivia, Witcher.
Vatgern. This explains why I did not hear your footsteps. What do you seek here?
Yennefer of Vengerberg. Where was she headed?
That is a military secret.
Haven't thrown me out yet. Haven't called the guards. So go ahead. What's your price?
There is a griffin in the area. Slay it. And then I shall see what I can do.
Why do you care about this griffin?
Because I care about people. The beast has killed 10 already, including a few of my men. To hunt it, I would need to mobilize the entire garrison, comb the woods, organize a batu. Simply impossible.
Too big a hassle?
No. Too high a risk. I cannot disperse my forces. Temeria's army we have crushed, but its common folk remain, ready to answer a call to arms. So, as to this griffin, I can sit on my hands, or hire a professional.
Let me go ahead and admit that every time I've played this, I've actually liked this guy. Really. He's probably one of the nicer Nilfgaardians we encounter. It's also probably worth noting that, if you're playing this normally, he's basically the first Nilfgaardian we encounter. And I think that was done very deliberately from an overall narrative perspective. to make sure that your first encounter is with this guy.
It's a deal. Some questions before I start. Know where the griffin has its lair?
It kept to the Vulpine Woods at first. I sent a patrol there, 5 young men. A hunter found them 2 days on. They only recognized them because they wore our plate. Since then, the griffin has grown bold. Attacks in villages, fields, on the main road.
Meaning it's abandoned its lair. Gonna have to set a trap.
I judge from your tone this will not be easy. What do you require?
I'll need bait. A specific herb. Buckthorn. Scent should lure the griffin from 10 miles off.
Buckthorn? I do not know this. But I am not yet fluent in the common tongue.
Mm-hmm. Probably mastered the basics, though. Hands up. Kill them.
No. First came idioms. Don't play with fire, for example. Go to Tomira, an herbalist. She lives near the crossroads. She will aid you.
Need more information about this griffin. Its sex. Why it's abandoned its lair.
Shall I bring you witnesses?
They won't say anything I don't already know. I need to go where your men died. Look around. What's the name of the hunter who found them?
Mislov. He has a hut south of the village, very near the wood. Helpful fellow. A little strange, though.
Tamira and Mislov. Thanks.
Es sunt jakten.
Good hunting to you. No, that's absolutely the smart thing to do, King Hawk. Hawkmeister? Hawkmeister? Oh god, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Anyways, the point I'm trying to get across here is that, yeah, it's actually a really smart thing to do for an occupying nation to send in the nicest people you can to be the occupying officers. So here's the fast travel tutorial. Now, whether that's a good or a bad thing, that's kind of up to you. That depends on your own personal code of ethics and morality. Some people would say that's a bad thing because it's manipulative. Some people would say it's a good thing because you're trying to put your best foot forward and, you know, actually help them to acclimate to their new society that they're now a part of. That's up to you to decide. I'm not here to lay judgment one way or the other. I just thought I'd comment on it. I want to go there. I already did that. It could be both. It could be both. That's valid. I'll be completely honest. If I was a conquering power, I would probably send my nicest people to be part of the occupying force. Not that I would ever conquer the world. That would just be silly. I would never do that. Now, I'm actually doing this on purpose. So that's what, 3 wolves? Notice how I only encountered the 1, then the 2, then the 1. I'm only pointing this out because this is something I do feel is worth discussion. You'll notice that this is the trash. I've actually been thinking about this ever since I brought it up. Because one of the things I like to really judge when it comes to a game design, especially an RPG, is...
magic. A place of power.
Is how it designs its trash encounters. And I feel like, by memory, from what I remember of this game, Witcher 3 does a decent job with its trash encounters. So if you stick to the roads, you'll hardly ever encounter trash, for the most part. Like, if I was just over here and running along the road, I'm not going to encounter a lot of enemies. Occasionally I will, but for the most part I won't. Most enemies I encounter are relatively small packs. There's only a few exceptions to that, usually scripted stuff, or stuff that's part of a quest. Even if I roam astray, enemies that are relatively close by, as in within a radar range, still won't aggro me if I aggro one pack, as long as I don't roam too far with the fighting. And the fights themselves are only really terrible on higher difficulties, which is kind of a separate equation. So basically, I feel like the trash is reasonably well done in this game. I could be wrong about that, but that is my take on it as of the moment. I would love for you guys to disagree with me. I'm ready. I'm ready! No, I actually need to AFK for just a moment. And by a moment, I mean like 3 minutes or so. I do apologize. I'll be back.
Cadmil and Hor ever care.
Bad time?
Not at all. Hand me the beggar tickets, the... Red bloom. Well, well, one versed in herbs.
Probably saying too much, but I know a bit. For instance, that beggar tick's poisonous.
In large doses. Small ones soothe pain and bring forth pleasant dreams. Which is all I can hope to do for her.
Griffin do that to her?
Delina. Yes. Attacked her at night. She was walking in the woods.
At night? Through the woods? In wartime?
Meeting a boy. The young, you know, do foolish things for love. Wounds are healing, but she will die. Blood's pooling in her skull. Nothing my bruise can do to help.
Could try to help her with one of my potions. Swallow can heal internal hemorrhages.
But?
Witcher's potions aren't for humans.
She'll die as it is.
Yes. A peaceful death soothed by your concoctions. If I give her Swallow and something goes wrong, the whole village will hear her screams.
I understand. Do as you will.
Looking for buckthorn. Know if it grows anywhere around here?
bottom of the river, where the channel's widest. But you do know that once out of the water...
It'll stink worse than a week-old carcass. Counting on it. I'm hunting the griffin. Need the buckthorn for bait.
I was thinking... A few years ago we had trouble, drowners under the bridge. The whole village had to pitch in for a witcher. Who now can afford the bounty on a griffin's head?
Captain Peter Sars, something.
Ah, good to know the Black One's looking out for our welfare.
Nilfgaard values one thing. Order. Griffin's disturbing that. It's gotta go.
Yes. First they'll tend to the monsters, then to the folk.
Not from here, are you? A lot of bitterness in you. Too much for someone who's spent her life in a hut in the middle of nowhere.
True. And you're in a hurry. Elsewise you'd not use bait, just wait for the griffin to attack again.
Believe we could have an interesting conversation.
Maybe next time.
Aw. By the way, hello Dirkrillian. And hello Scorpion. What's up, both of you? Yeah, this is still the tutorial. I'm sure we'll slow down with the positives later. There's no way the game could actually be that good, right? Right? Yeah, good voice acting, good voice directing still. But don't worry, the game will get much worse past the tutorial. It'll be horrible. Truly horrible. Oh, God. That's actually disorienting. Let's try that again. So, escort quest. And also... I almost put this game down during this quest. No joke.
Anyone home? Must be out hunting.
Not because it was bad. Just because it was, well...
Trail's fresh. Mislav just left home.
You'll see. Hi, Sean. We've already seen one, Brad Fraser.
You, Mislav?
Shh. Hear that?
Wolves? No. Wild dogs.
Yes. More dangerous than wolves.
Dogs more dangerous than wolves? Don't think so.
It's the truth. Know why?
No, but I guess you're about to tell me.
Wolves hunt to fill their bellies. Wild dogs kill for sport.
Just like humans.
Aye. They've learned much from us. Why not cruelty too?
I'm hunting bigger game. The Nilfgaardians the Griffin killed. Where'd you find them?
Ah, I see. You a witcher. That monster slayer they's talking about in the village. I'll show you, sure. But, I gotta kill those mutts before they hurt someone. Will you help? That is, if you don't mind blunting your silver blades on them.
Sure. Griffin's not going anywhere.
No. Dogs might, though. So step careful now. Come on.
These dogs been a problem for a while now?
Since the war started. Soldier on the march. He'll stop to rape a woman, strangle her, kill her man for a chuckle, even butcher a cow. But a dog, a kick in passing, no more. So these stray mutts form packs. They're gaunt, guts stuck to their spines, covered in... Too late. Attacked another one.
Whoops.
Not good.
Yeah, notice he was technically following us, not vice versa.
Dieter.
You know him?
We served at the Lord's Manor together, where the Black Army's encamped now. He was a stable hand, I was the Lord's hunter. But that was before... well, a long time ago.
Before what?
Before they drove me from the village.
What did you do?
Nothing. I'm a freak. Sorry. I'd rather not talk about it.
I'm a freak too.
Aye, but of another kind.
If it's lycanthropy, I can help.
What?
Lycanthropy. Werewolves. Handled a few cases in the past. It's usually a simple curse that...
The Lord's son, Florian, and I... we loved each other. Dieter walked in on us in the stables. They drove me away. Florian hanged himself. Lord started drinking, and the estate fell into ruin. That's the long and short of it.
I'm sorry.
Ancient history now. I was to show you where I found the Nilfgaardians. Come.
Griffin, know anything about it?
Oh, not much. It's not my kind of game.
You're his kind, though. Survival instincts alone ought to make you care.
I walk silent through the woods. No griffin can hear me nor spy me.
No comment, although I am going to answer two people's questions. So Mind Blast asks, when will the next Extant story come out? Hopefully tonight. I was going to set it up live this morning, but honestly I haven't had time to record it. The story's written, I just haven't recorded it yet. Second, Scorpion's Wrath asks, do you think this game could beat FF6? I don't know. I've never actually scored FF6 in this method of scoring, so...
'Twas here. One lay there, by the stump, headless. The other hung from a branch, guts splayed, stretching down to... Watch out for yourself now.
I'll be fine. Not the first griffin I've dealt with. Not likely to be the last, either.
Hope you're right. Good hunting now.
Nilfgaardians were celebrating. Griffin interrupted them.
Good night, Isermaster.
Ground's black, saturated with blood. A camp.
It's a good line, Fenrir, and I've actually heard it before. I just didn't want to go for it for obvious reasons, because I mean, it's me, you know.
These prints are older, and deeper, heavily armored. Nilfgaardians, probably.
That's true, Bretta Fraser. Whoop. Ah! I keep hitting the wrong button for jumping. Just this button. There we go. I knew it, Leo Tamer. You secretly hate everything about my streams. It's okay, I don't blame you. The in-depth review was really something different. I know that sounds like a strange statement. I've actually said this like 15 times or so, give or take. Because the... Oh, it was the dog comment earlier, Uthor. I've said this like 15 times before. Everything that went into the in-depth review was different, other than the fact that I was using pluses to notate how good or bad a thing was. So, I haven't actually done a full review in this style, in-depth classic or Premier Run, for FF6 yet. I hope to. It's actually on the funding list. Also, I cannot tell you how happy it makes me to see people actually be interested in those extant mini-stories that I'm doing. Just without me prompting. You guys were just talking about it.
What remains of it, at least.
So, I'm going to go and use this moment to talk about the fact that Geralt is talking to himself.
Corpse is a couple of weeks old. Still alive when the Griffin brought him here. Took a long time dying. Bones. Horse. Dog. Human. A few months' worth.
I want you to imagine for a moment that all of the dialogue that Geralt says is just out of the game. Just gone, right? Now, what do you think that would do to the gameplay? Like, what do you how much do you think that would alter the process of playing the game itself? It's not hard to simulate. Just pretend pretend none of the dialogue is happening for a particular section of quest. That alone probably gets across my impression of why I actually like what they do with Geralt. Because Geralt actually is effectively discussing this with us. Now, in character, as Leander points out, he's basically just talking to us, or he's talking to himself because he's been doing this for a long time. But there are quite a few sections of gameplay where the only sentient, sapient character on screen for a substantial portion of a quest is Geralt, and no one else. This way gets across information to the player. This way allows us to have... it allows us to do our pseudo-detective method thing, but far more important to me is the fact that it makes it so that these sections are not dead silent. If you guys want, I could simulate that. I could just turn off voices and go through a quest, and you'll see what I mean. I don't think I have to make the point. In fact, you know what, here, we'll do it real quick. We'll just do it super quick here. We'll just turn off the voices entirely, and you'll see what I mean. Sure. Not what I wanted. Is there another one? Come on. Okay, this isn't the greatest example of it, but you probably get my point already. Now, the best part is I can't turn the voice back on until we're done with this cutscene. A royal griffin. Quest updated. I'll be completely honest. As someone who talks to himself a lot in life, go ahead, make fun. But I do that fairly often. I'm not even ashamed of it. Yeah, I don't particularly see an issue with someone who talks to themselves on a regular basis, especially if they spend a fairly decent chunk of their life alone, like Geralt does. Now, I've never heard anyone actually comment on how bad, I've never heard of anyone say, oh, it's horrible that Geralt talks to himself. But I have heard a lot of people comment on it. And I wanted to showcase, visually, audibly showcase, what it's like without those sections of him talking to himself, just to show how much worse, in my opinion, this game would be in their absence. Oh, and I'm not turning the voices back on. I'm going to make my point. You made me do this, Hazardous. Now you must suffer. But more to the point, whether or not this deserves... So obviously this is not a negative. I think that's fairly self-apparent. I think the real question is, does this deserve a plus or not? Now that I'm more debating. If I'm being completely honest, my knee-jerk reaction is no. Because while it is a good idea, it's basically a necessary idea. As I demonstrated earlier, based on the construction of this game, honestly, I think if he didn't have the dialogue talking to himself, I would probably think this is a negative, in all and total sincerity. Let's see. What do you guys think, by the way? Should I go ahead and make a... Oh, hey, he's talking to himself again. You can't tell because I have it off. No, I'll turn it back on. I've made my point. I've made my point. I just wanted to demonstrate why that would have been a negative in its absence. But it's very clearly designed with the game structure in mind. There's no party to speak of. So when we're off doing quests when there's no NPC present, we need someone. We need something to hear. Because it's just going to get old after a while. And of course, it's a way to literally get across information. So that's all. I just want to talk about that briefly. That's a good question, Leo Tamer. I'm not sure. It would become a French art film. Yeah. Anyways, one person says I shouldn't brew a swallow potion. Any other thoughts on that? There's no good answer there. There's no way it turns out to be good. So, do you think I should try, yes or no? Is really what it boils down to.
The infamous well. A noon wraith. Wonder what it's doing here. Got too close.
Oh no, I can't hit it. The only thing to do is... I can never remember. Is that it? No. 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 That's the one.
She fled, but she'll be back tomorrow. Something's keeping her here.
Once again, more dialogue that we wouldn't be having if he wasn't talking to himself. And yeah, I agree, Seth. It's one of the reasons why so many games for so long of a period of time, when voice acting became common in video games, were a duo or a party. Like this? No, I think that's your internet, Tazara. Or maybe it's just, you know, OBS, one of the two. That's true, we could do it for context later. Anywho.
Noonwraith won't stray too far from the well.
Right. So this is actually a tutorial on the nature of the bestiary. Aha.
Something's tied the Noonwraith to this place. An object. Something she needs before she'll leave this world.
We did get the buckthorn, yes. We did it while we were being silent. Incredibly silent.
A man. Stabbed with a knife. Died on the spot. Animals fed on his body. Picked his skeleton clean. More bloodstains over there. But it's not his blood.
It's probably worth noting this is not actually... Like, we already have the spoiler for this story, because we already talked to the hunter.
A journal. Might be useful.
It's happened. Volker sent a petition of our grievances against the Lord to the court at Vizima. Listed all the harm he's done us. How he killed Jahan for not taking his cap quick enough. How he trampled our fields when drunk with nary a thought of repayment. How he barged in during Peter's wedding and demanded the right of the first night. Which is horrible, by the way, while we're on the subject. Now we finally got what we begged Melity, whatever, Bob for in our prayers so long. The judge recognized our grievances and waived all bonds and duties to the Lord. We can finally strike on our own. At last, we live as free men. About 15 days later. The first day of our freedom. Havel's not much of a village yet, but to my mind it's better than the most fantastic palace. Volker turned our home with Hazelwood's... Volker fumed our home with hazelwood smoke to drive out evil. Buried a marten under the gate to make sure no thieves crossed the threshold, and gave me a bracelet, loveliest I've ever seen. Mother said it's foolish to spend so much on a bauble when we haven't plows or hoes, and we ought to return it to the merchant. Over my dead body. It'll always be there to remind me of Volker and of how happy we were that day. About 11 days later, they say the Lord is coming to see us, that he wants to make a deal, to beg us to return to the village. They say he's calmed since his son died, that he's not as quick to anger about slights. We'll see. One way or another, I've no intention to move 1 inch from here. Alright, Korati, apparently you made a deal with the Lord of the land. Thank you very much, Korati. As always, much appreciate those subs. Thank you. Do you know what you want to put that towards for a future stream? So I wanted to mention something. They had to send a petition of grievances against the Lord to the court to gain an official waiver of bond and duty to the Lord. That almost sounds weird to say from a modern perspective, but it's a wonderful insight into exactly how the North runs. For all of the horrible stuff that Nilfgaard does, and they do horrible stuff, I don't want to sound like they don't, I would probably pick Nilfgaard over the North for this reason by itself, because Nilfgaard allows for vertical movement. The very system of Nilfgaard is in many ways a functional meritocracy, at least up to a certain ceiling point. Whereas in the North, they operate more on a more basic caste system. Not literally caste system, but, you know, you belong to this person, he belongs to this person, they belong to the king. It's a fairly typical feudal structure. But I want to stress this, in case I'm not getting this point across sincerely enough. They had to petition a court to legally waive their right to basically no longer be servants of the local lord. Yeah.
That bracelet might be what ties the woman's spirit to this place. Bloodstains, barely visible. Someone was dragged this way. Someone who was still alive. Palm prints in blood. Small hands. A woman's. Someone dragged her out. She was wounded. Fought for her life. No body in sight, but might still find some tracks. Under the right conditions, bloodstains can remain visible for decades.
By the way, notice the same song that was playing for...
Another print by the well.
The same song that was playing earlier for the Find the Guy's Brothers quest is playing here. This is part of what I meant by the whole, ambiance music thing. Don't mistake me, I prefer this to no music. That would be terrible. Yes, serfdom, let me just go ahead and say the incredibly controversial statement that I don't think serfdom is a good thing. I know, it's crazy. Oh, it fits, absolutely. I was never trying to say that the music... Well, okay. I keep meaning to point out the music that I actively don't like, and I keep forgetting to do so because I'm a moron. Well, he washes himself properly, Leo Tamer. Yeah, it's the combat music. If you want to just skip ahead, yeah, it's the combat music.
Bodies dried to a crisp. Signs of burns. Noonwraith did this.
That's true, Blackfell. I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me. Please take me back. I wish to be your slave again.
Noonwraith won't stray too far from the well.
Come on.
Bloodstains. Almost faded. But the line's taut. Something's not right. A corpse, hanged by the bucket rope. Woman the journal belonged to. Must be. Wide pelvis, small jaw. A woman. Around 30, judging by the teeth. Left arm's missing. Need to cremate the remains. Gotta find the object that binds her to this place before I do, though.
It's that rabbit!
Was she wearing the bracelet from her husband? Might be why her arm fell off. Gotta jump down there. Hope I don't break my legs.
I'll be fine. Whoa, that looked strange. Now, I could have played this whole section in mute, just to really get across the point, but I think you get it by now with the internal dialogue thing. And by internal dialogue, I mean monologue. That's funny upon a time.
Lucky not to come up empty-handed. A bracelet with an inscription. To Claire, from Volker. Bracelet must have belonged to the woman in the well. Lovely craftsmanship, but I'll have to burn it with the body to get rid of the Noon Wraith for good. Better do it near the well.
He basically just answered your question, Leo Tamer. The general idea is a lot of undead creatures of various forms basically need to be removed in a particular manner. You can't just kill them because they don't operate under the same rule set. Put simply. Just realized I keep hitting the wrong button. This is the clean water he wants to draw from, by the way. Which comes from here.
Need to prepare for this fight. Brew some wraith oil. Drink some potions.
So, this is the tutorial quest on prepping. Prepping for a fight. We're not going to do that, of course. Why would I prep for a quest? What's wrong with you?
And the bracelet. Igni.
But yes, Fenrir is right. This is an excellent example of a curse happening basically just because of normal,
I think it worked.
Horrible circumstances.
She's gone. For good.
It's also probably worth noting, and I can say this because I have actually done that quest, without cheats, that's probably one of the first actual fights that's difficult in this game. In fact, I would go so far as to say that I think that fight in many ways is actually harder than the Griffin fight later. My opinion. Granted, like I said, it's been like years since I played this without cheats, but you get the idea. See you around, Goldflavius. Oh yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. And as I've mentioned several times, I had trouble getting a hold of the dodge mechanic mentally, so... Yeah.
I think those plums are wreaking havoc on my gut.
Freak.
That's true, I haven't done that one yet, Uthor. Well, I should probably brew. See you around, Sonoshi. Let's see... Oh, I can make Swallow right now. Perfect. Let's go and just do that really quick. Oh yeah, speaking of things I like about Witcher 3, and I'm curious of your guys' thoughts on this as a gameplay mechanic. Refilling alchemy with alcohol. Thoughts?
Down sits in the old oak tree, brewing cider with devilish glee.
Job done. The well was haunted by the ghost of a woman who was killed there. I drove it away.
I just hope every unburied wretch don't start haunting us. Well, that battlefield's gonna cause us a heap of trouble.
If they do, you know who to contact. Meanwhile, Claire, Volker, names ring a bell?
I don't know him. Though I did hear our herbalist Tamira mention a Claire once. Same one, maybe?
Your reward, Master Witcher. The gold I'd hid away for Mandy's dowry. Without you, she'd never have lived to wed. Now, let's hope for it, at least.
Nah.
At this point, doubt I'll ever marry. You keep the coin from Mandy, her wedding. Raise a toast to my health then.
Thank you, Master Witcher. Them's warm words, you've a good heart. But I can't let you go empty-handed. Take this, at least, for luck.
Actually, that's always what I've presumed as well, Kira White Noise. If I'm being completely honest, I don't actually think the refill mechanic deserves a positive in its own right. I know that sounds kind of harsh, but ultimately it's more like I feel like it is the absence of a negative than the presence of a positive. You know what I mean? It would be very easy for the crafting mechanic, for the brewing mechanic, to be a negative, to be just arduous and aggravating. It isn't, so that's decent. You know, that's a good thing. But I don't think it fully deserves a positive.
Your grave, more like. Have you not heard about the griffin?
Yeah, exactly. If it was aggravating, or if it was irritating, or if there was frustration built to it, or, you know, whatever, then yeah, upon a time. Also, I loved his comment. I hope not everyone can get up and haunt us. Well, you're in the wrong setting for that one, boy. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Too far.
Yes?
Listen, ever heard of a woman named Claire? Lived around here?
Heard of her? A mild way to put it. Claire was a friend. The only person dear to me in all of White Orchard. Until her husband, Volker, quarreled with the lord of the manor. He then gathered the family and moved out into the woods to start a new settlement. The lord and his retinue rode there to convince them to return. They were to be civil. No forcing, no bloodshed, but you saw. Word is Claire said something about the lord's son, Florian. Something that made the lord furious. But who knows the truth?
Lots of misfortune for such a small village.
'Tis so in every village. Even the smallest. You need only ask. But let's not end on a teary note. Here, a bit of solace.
So, this is another reason why I mentioned the writing positive earlier. The way the stories interconnect, in ways that they don't even shove it into your face either. It's just, if you're paying attention, it's like, okay, that makes sense.
Yes?
Got a potion for Lena. Swallow.
First sign of spring. Symbol of rebirth. Fitting as names go.
We'll see. Like I said, could harm her. Deeply. Works on me immediately. But I have a faster metabolism. Effects won't appear in her case for a few days.
Why'd you choose this in the end?
Decided it was better than doing nothing.
I like you, Witcher. Here. A small gift. For giving a damn.
And yeah, it's... I love the interconnectivity. I mean, you guys know me. I'm a big continuity hound in general. But I also really like the little bits of continuity. The bits of continuity that are the kind of things that are details. Little details. As I've said before, one of the biggest elements that I love about Witcher 3 is the details and the way it approaches those. Now, hang on, where am I? I actually want to go over here really quick. One last thing to do.
Freak.
Yeah, it makes the world believable, exactly. Well, not really, Dirkrillian, because the only reason he said that is because we made him. We didn't pick a dialogue option.
Whoa, Master Witcher!
But we brewed the potion and took it back to her, right? So it was still our choice. Oops, sorry.
What happened?
Monsters! Monsters from the swamp! Folks said the road was fraught with peril, but I wouldn't listen. Got my comeuppance now.
Less moaning, more details. What happened, and how can I help? And remember, I don't work for free. Witcher's code and all.
Well, was on my way to the Black Ones to trade. Suddenly my horse got spooked, ran clear off the road. We hit a bump, I went flying and the horse and cart rolled on. Then I heard bubbling, neighing, slurping. Something came out from the muck, devoured Asher, hooves and all. No doubt my goods are still on the cart, but I'm too afeard to go and see. Thought maybe you... I'm most concerned about a little box. Bring it to me, I beg you.
Fine, I'll go. Let you know if I find that box.
Well, I noticed, Ethel. Hang on just a second. So this is actually still a tutorial quest for two important points, and I want to bring up both of them, but I kind of want to finish doing the quest before I talk about them in depth.
Cart tracks. Rode off into the swamp. Here's the cart. An arrow. Didn't mention this. Interesting. I should take a look around.
Just grabbing a few things here that I might eventually need.
With arrows.
I do too, Permius. Like I said, this whole zone was very well designed. As I've said dozens of times, there are several points in a video game you want to really spend the most time polishing to a fine sheen to make it as good as possible. And one of those is the intro. You want the beginning part of your game to be as good as it possibly can be. Ah, here we go. So I'm just going to let this guy beat on me for a second. Because I don't like this song. Actually, maybe this isn't it. This song's fine. Never mind, this isn't it. That's not the one. Never mind. No. There we go. One of the several of the combat songs I don't care for. That wasn't it. That wasn't it.
Square in the neck. Good shot. Either the merchant's got serious memory problems, or he's lying.
He would never lie, right? He would never lie.
Must be that box he mentioned. Splattered with blood. Human blood.
Anyways, a game where I loved the story but hated the gameplay. I can think of several. Final Fantasy Tactics comes to mind. Red Dead Redemption 2 comes to mind.
Oh, and you find the box?
Yeah, found your priceless chest. And someone who looks an awful lot like a cart driver with an arrow through his neck. No dryads in these swamps, and never known a drowner or a water hack to use a bow. So lacking any other suspects, I'm guessing.
Watch out! Behind you!
I'm a witcher, I'd have heard it. Just like I can hear your heart, which is pounding, like a liar's. Best hope you're a better writer than you are a liar.
I love that. Just stands there like, no. Yeah, that's, it's not gonna work out for you. There you are. Hey, Roach.
Come on, Roach.
I try to remember the controls. There we go. So this is a quest that tutorializes several things. First, I know this sounds like a strange thing to comment on, but it tutorializes the fact that the NPCs don't always tell you the truth. If you're paying attention, this is actually the first guy to straight up lie to us in a quest. Everyone else is on the level, to some extent or another.
That's silver.
The second thing is what I just showed, chasing someone down and fighting on horseback. Weird load times. Really weird load times. The rest of the game has been loading just fine, and obviously I'm on a Doom computer with an SSD. Yeah, this might be a soft log. Yep, we're gonna go ahead. We'll give it like 30 more seconds. So what are you up to, guys? No, I'm kidding. Screw it. Thankfully, this game auto-saves all the time. Just kind of nuke that there. There we go. Good night, King. How do you want to pronounce? Just help me out. King. King Dude. King H! There we go. Why is it not a bad thing to see the South Park tropes? I got a better question for you. Why would that ever possibly be a bad thing? I can't even imagine where that would be a negative thing. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and load that one, which is a checkpoint save. And then the awful negative story right there. Is this a story or a gameplay negative? Because it's a negative. I hate this. I don't know how to narrate anything, so I'm going to do so in a terrible voice. Hate that crap. Like, I'm sorry. I've heard a couple people try to defend that. I've never heard a good defense of that. And then he decided to go ahead and to say that I am yeah, there is actually a mod. I need to get that mod. I need to get that mod. Well, see, you say that, Nerozaz, and normally I would agree with you. But the problem is, that is a bad actor I hear every time I load a save. If I want to reload a save to try a different possibility for a quest path, or if I want to load a save because I made a mistake, or if I want to load a save because I just had a bug, like this just had, anytime, it's that stupid guy again. So it's not just one bad voice actor. It's a bad voice actor who's shoved into my face on a regular basis. You know what I mean? And I hate it. The idea of a recap is a decent idea. In fact, I like the idea of a recap and the way it's implemented in several games. But I don't like this implementation of a recap. I prefer a recap where it either shows the Mario and Luigi series. So in the Mario and Luigi series, the way the recap works is... Hi, Disco. Is as you're at the load screen, like when you're at the screen where all your saves are, and you select the save, before you actually load the save, there's a little text crawl that says this is what just happened. Some games have like a journal. You pull up the journal and it's like, aha, this is what just happened, right? Having that freaking load screen, which again happens every time you load a save, drives me nuts. Why do I think he's a bad voice? I can't emulate how I personally find that to be bad voice acting. Because I have trained too much of my life to be emotive, which is the opposite of what he does. He sort of decides to read dialogue in a singular tone that just kind of doesn't vary, as he neutrally and without any emphasis or proper pronunciation or even inflection states exactly what happened in the previous scene. I'm sorry, I probably wasn't even quite nailing it. It's really hard for me to do that. Like I said. I agree with Hazardous. It sounds like he's trying to sound old and failing at it. Like, he sounded winded. As if then they had to go and find Yennefer. She had escaped them on her quarry as, whatever. That kind of a thing. Dandelion sounding like he's older might have worked a little better, but it doesn't sound like he's older. It sounds like he's just dead inside. He's been turned into a zombie or something. It just doesn't work, man. I hate it. Now, someone in chat asked, would it be better if it was just the text? Yes, absolutely. I still don't think it would be good, so basically that would be a neutral situation rather than a positive, because whatever, basically. Like, it's not a bad thing, but it's not a good thing. But as far as voice acting, the voice acting just destroys it for me. And I think I agree that really deserves to be a gameplay thing. So there's our second gameplay negative. Because it's not just, like I said earlier, it's not just the voice, it's the way the voice is implemented as a way to hide load screens. So where are we at? Gameplay negative. Dandelion's awful, awful voice for load screens when loading a save, made even worse by the repetition and execution thereof. And I'm going to go ahead and get that mod and probably install that mod. I probably don't have to explain why. Okay, so meanwhile, in the past...
And you find the box?
Anyways, I don't know who Chris Lee is, but sure, go ahead and link it. I'm not going to click it, but other people can click it.
Yeah, found your priceless chest. And someone who looks an awful lot like a cart driver with an arrow through his neck. No dryads in these swamps, and never known a drowner or a water hack to use a bow. So lacking any other suspects, I'm guessing.
Watch out! Behind you!
There's nothing behind me. I'm a witcher, I'd have heard it. Just like
Sorry, I had to repeat that because that's just amazing. Now Gum Gum I think is lying to me, so I gotta go kill Gum Gum really quick here. Give me just a second. Give me just a moment here. Because I gotta look this up now. Here we go. No, I was right. Gum Gum is in fact lying to me. Christopher Lee has no credits for this. He's done Kingdom Hearts stuff, obviously. He did a role in Freelancer. I didn't actually know that. He played Saruman several times in Lord of the Rings games, which I didn't know either. That's kind of cool that he did that. But he was not in this game. So I have no idea who does that voice. Okay, so skip. Oh yeah, by the way, skippable cutscenes. As it should be. Loading. I know Dance is in the game, but he has a very distinctive voice, and that's definitely not him. Oh, that's a question for me, Disco? I use a PS3 controller. Alright, don't bug out on me. Oh god, he's in the ground!
Wake up. See? Can't run from the truth. Not even on horseback. Now who are you, and why'd you attack that cart?
Private First Class John Giermer, Temerian 6th Division, 2nd Regiment. Disbanded, but still active. Underground, in the woods. That was a medical transport. I'd be damned if it reached the Black Ones. And the medicine, our lads could use it too. We've many ill among us. You let me go, and they might live and fight once more for a free North.
So what do you think, guys? Exactly, Genie John. So what would you do to this guy? I mean, he's already a liar, and a really bad one. You'll also notice that despite being after the medicine, all he wanted was one little box. Yes, we must ensure that Nilfgaard claims the North. Sorry. Wait a minute. We need to kill Fenrir for being against the one true power. I agree that he dropped the act. And I know what you're thinking. Laura, why are you spending so much time on this? Do you know one of the greatest advantages of having really good voice acting and voice direction when it comes to constructing narrative quests in a video game? You can put in enough detail in inflection and nuance to allow the player to pick up on things. In short, we can tell based on how he's talking that he has dropped the act and now he's being sincere with us. But imagine if the voice direction wasn't that good. Imagine if the voice acting wasn't that good. Right? There's actually a much better example of this later with... Oh, I can't think of her name. Gavella Glan lady. Yeah, the Mouse Tower quest is a fantastic example of the voice acting getting across stuff that the player can then pick up on. This is something I've talked about several times, and I absolutely appreciate when a game does this. Kira, that's it. I'm just going to keep calling her Gavella Glan. Is that cool? Because all of you knew immediately what I was talking about. I've never actually picked this option, so I'm going to pick one.
I'm taking you to the Nilfgaardians. You're a murderer, not a soldier.
And you're a traitor. There's a scaffold out there with your name on it.
Yeah, I'm not with the North, buddy. Sorry.
Hey, soldier. Waiting on a late transport by any chance?
What? Yes. Corporal Lifnitz set out to command headquarters for medicine. He has yet to return, though he was due back several days ago.
Medicine's here, in this box. And this is a 3-in-1. Liar, thief, and your corporal's murderer.
Plow yourself, mutant.
That would be difficult.
Captain Peter will see to him. And you, Nordling, deserve our thanks. The medication will not save our men's lives, but it will ease their dying.
soldiers falling sick? What with?
I do not know. I do not ask. Those who take an interest are usually sent straight to the front.
Gotta say, I was kind of counting on a tangible token of gratitude. A golden, clinky one, in fact.
I thought you acted from conviction, not greed. But if that is not the case, here. So you'll remember and tell others that Nilfgaard is generous with those who serve it willingly.
Carrot. I like how he's still armed with his bow. I mean, it's not like he can do much with it. But it's just funny to me. Anyways, yes, apparently, they, as I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the accents they do, they were trying for an East Germanic combined with a Russian accent, specifically when it came to the Nilfgaardians, the typical Nilfgaardians. Oh, I need to talk to Vesemir. Right, we're not at this step yet. My bad. Vesemir's here, boop. You are correct, VA Ghost. The two negatives, one is for the implementation of how they do the Dandelion voiceover during load screens. You know when you load a save. The other one, I don't remember, actually. I don't remember my own negatives. Hang on. Let me pull up the document. Ah, yes. Audio balance issues, which is a very consistent issue. And if I'm being completely honest, might actually bloom into a second negative at some point.
By the wood, boy in Climmix. Good lad, Master Witcher. Though he...
Yes, this boy. Will he venture out to inspect his grain anytime soon?
What for? Harvest is a long way off yet.
Yes? What is it, Wolf?
Got good news and bad news. Good news first. Captain of the Nilfgaardian garrison knows where Yennefer went.
And the bad's that we have to kill the Griffin for him. What else could he want from two witchers? Go on. Tell me what you know.
Griffin's abandoned its lair. Gotta make a lure, set a trap.
And how's that going?
Got the buckthorn.
Ought to work like a charm. Powerful scent.
More like stench.
City boy. Rotting meat, manure, piss. Standard smells of the countryside. Remember Tredegor? Hunting that Zoogle in the trash heap? You spent half the next day bathing, scrubbing yourself.
How can I forget? You ever gonna stop bringing that up?
Congratulations, Disco.
Learned some things. It's a male, had its nest in the Vulpine Woods. The Nilfgaardians burned the woods down, killed its mate, smashed their eggs. Thought they'd fixed things.
It's always the same. Instead of sending for a professional, they try to do it themselves, only end up making matters worse. Fine. If everything's ready, say the word and we'll get to work.
Let's do it.
I'm ready. No point in waiting. Let's find a good spot to ambush it.
Picked one out already, other side of the stream. There's fields and a grove. Plenty of room and far enough so no one will get in our way.
Good. Meet you there.
Your dedication will be rewarded.
Apparently Vesemir's dedication will be rewarded, which is fantastic, really. I mean, if anyone deserves to be rewarded, it's Vesemir, right? You say that like that's a bad thing to Zara. Alright, I gotta check who just donated. It's a donation from VA Ghost, who says they didn't want to interrupt. Thank you very much, VA Ghost. Much appreciative as always. Thank you. Do you know what you want to put that towards for a future stream? So, boss fight time. I'm actually going to go ahead and whoop. So one of the things I like about these cheats that I am using is that they are toggleable. So we're just going to go ahead and turn that down to there. And that down to there. Yeah, that's close enough. Do you want me to do it during day? I don't care. I'm ambivalent. Well, thank you, VA Ghost. Daytime. I wish to be daytime. We'll put it right there. Oh, hey, I just refilled some stuff. All right.
A stream, amber waves of grain. Charming place. Perfect for an ambush.
I know how to choose them. So, ready?
Let's start. Wind's good. Bait's scent will spread quickly.
Now all we have to do is wait. Come on. We can cower in the shade of those birches.
So tell me, once we find Yennefer, what'll you do? Got your eye on a contract?
No. I'll go to Kaer Morhen.
Little early to settle in for the winter.
Snows are a way off, yes. And that's what worries me. Nilfgaard's crossed the Pontar in the east. Puts them maybe a week's march from Kaer Morhen. If they reach the valley before snows can cover the passes, well, we need to cover our tracks, hide our paths. Speaking of winter and wintering, think you'll come this year?
Maybe. Might bring a guest.
I was just thinking the same thing, Blackfile. I can do that pose, but it hurts like hell because of my bad leg.
Let's go give it a warm welcome.
Wait, take this.
It's a crossbow.
A crossbow?
Won it in a card game while you ran around. Might come in handy.
Thanks.
How about that? Always lectured us on the evils, but you're a gambler yourself.
Stop talking. Got a griffin to kill.
Yeah, funnily enough, I was just about to comment on how Vesemir is more politically inclined than Geralt, who tries very hard to stay away from politics.
Who's next? It's about to dive.
There we go. Sorry.
Damn! It's fast! Don't let it get away!
True upon a time, although honestly I've always felt that at least part of it is because of the fact that Geralt, actively tries to stay out of politics. Like, he dislikes it, you know? Now, if you can't tell, I'm trying very deliberately to not actually hit it with the crossbow, because I forgot to turn down the crossbow damage, so I just one-shot it if I did. God, that was slow. Ah, I forgot to turn off invincibility. Whatever. Very true, Via Ghost. And no, I cannot, Gum Gum. I do the same thing in real life.
Not bad. Not bad. Though you could stand to improve some things.
I mean, I couldn't even tell you who our current vice president is. And don't tell me, I don't care. So yeah, that was a tutorial on the crossbow, which I wasn't using, but also on the way of basically mini-boss fights. And I stress that I say mini-boss there, because there's actual bosses in this game, and they're much worse than that.
For example?
Upward vertical strike. It's too obvious. But more on that later. Take the Griffin's head to the Black Ones. I'll ready our horses. Meet me at the inn.
Oogie. No, I want to... There we go. Quincy Adams. You're funny. Spaghetti. Spiced spaghetti, Baron. Alright, Roach. Let's rock. Now, forgive me for taking so long to do it. I do apologize. I hope you'll forgive me. Jalapenos, Bragwin. For reasons I discussed during the video. Which is going live in about 3 weeks, so you'll have to wait a little bit. Meat pie? Oh god, I can't even remember, Baron. Years and years and years ago, at least.
Stop!
Okay. So, carrot, stick.
What the hell is this?
Roy!
You take me for a blind man or a fool? This grain is rotten.
I didn't know.
So, a fool. Damn it, you never learn. Military Codex, Article 2, Section 3. For the delivery of defective goods, 15 lashes with a knout. Make it so.
No, no, no! By the gods, no!
So I want to pause to talk about this, because this is messed up. But completely understandable. Which makes it make even more sense, actually, if you're thinking about it for a second. So hang on. Let's talk about the obvious. And I've talked about this every single time I've streamed or discussed this game. 15 lashes is nuts. Consider the medical technology available at this point in history. 15 lashes can quite literally kill you. Just straight up, it can actually kill you. Directly. Never mind the fact that the wounds can very likely become infected after that, right? So this is horrible. However, it is entirely within the realm of possibility that this was a deliberate attempt to sabotage the garrison. Now, we don't know. In fact, to my knowledge, we never know if this was something deliberate or not. But I'll go ahead and look at the reality here for a second. As someone said in chat, you can't try to get cross. You can't try to fool a farmer with bad farmed goods. He's going to pick up on that immediately, and he does. He immediately notices that this is poisoned rye, or not poison, but it's bad rye. It's rye that has gone rotten. So there's only really two possibilities here. Either this man was legitimately stupid enough, as a farmer who works with this stuff regularly, to not recognize the bad rye, or he deliberately delivered bad rye to this. Now, which do you think is more likely? Be honest for a second. Keep in mind everything we've seen about the attitude of the locals in the area. Keep in mind everything we've seen about the presentation of how the Nilfgaardians are perceived, and the desperation of the individuals. You see why I think this is kind of a... Now, I wouldn't whip him 15 times. That's horrible. And I've already said why. It's the same reason I wouldn't have hung the guy earlier. Because when the Nilfgaardians use this stick, they don't use a stick. They use a giant spiked bat with poison tips that's on fire and has electricity running through it. And I could keep going. Like, you get it, right? You get the point? So he gives them the bad rye. Probably. He either does it because he's stupid and desperate. Sorry. He either does it because he's stupid, he either does it because he's desperate, or he does it because it's on purpose. Now, as Alex said, and several people have already said this, it's entirely within the realm of possibility that this was not true malice. In other words, he was not trying to poison them, but to keep the good rye for themselves. That is a possibility. It's still bad, but it is less actively malicious. However, with regards to the Nilfgaardian's response, and by the way, I do feel like pointing out the Nilfgaardian doesn't sound happy about doing this. Count whatever the frick his name is. And again, this goes back to the quality of the voice acting. He doesn't sound happy about doing this. But I still stand firm in my statement that 15 lashes is just too much. Papa Neek says 5 lashes would be more than enough. Even 5 might be a bit severe, but given the Nilfgaardian's tendency towards severity and the fact that they're in a time of war, I could see 5 lashes. I could absolutely see that. It's also worth noting that this could be an attempt to make an example. Don't know. Because someone earlier mentioned another possibility. It is within the realm of possibility that this is not the first time this has happened. That this is actually, he's been like, really? Like he's gone through this song and dance before, right? So this is a mess. That's why I opened with that statement. This is a weirdly gray scenario. And I love it, but it's kind of horrible, And I bring all of this up because when I first did this quest, my first thought was, oh, his true thoughts are revealed. But then the second time I did this quest, and the third and the fourth, this will now be the 5th time I've done this quest, because I've done this intro several times. Every time since, I've paid a lot more attention to that nuance and detail that I know they put into it. I think this is a lot more gray than I originally thought it was, as I've tried to elaborate on over the last several minutes here, as this guy is in the middle of falling over here. I think this is a legitimately more gray situation than just the Nilfgaardians are evil but pretending not to be. I really do think that this is just a carrot-and-the-stick approach. I think the Nilfgaardian was being legitimate. I do. I think that if they had given him perfectly good grain, he would have been like, awesome, we're good. Here's your pay, go home. But they gave him damaged grain. Rotting, there we go, rotting rye. And as several people have pointed out in chat, rotting rye is actually pretty horrible. That's a real problem right there. And he does have to actually take care of his garrison, which is not only understaffed, but dealing with a disease problem at the moment. And remember how everything kind of ties in together in Witcher 3? They just, the medicine they just got to ease their burden. Like, you see this problem, right? You see why it's easier to sympathize with the guy, despite the fact that he basically just said, go torture this man to death. And I think that ultimately is something I do like about Witcher 3. That, seriously, if I was to describe Witcher 3 in a nutshell, it's, I can find myself strangely sympathizing with someone who just ordered a man to be tortured to death. Now, this guy might live through this. I don't think we actually ever find out his ultimate fate, although I will showcase his fate on camera, don't worry. But this is just, whew, this is a mess. I think I said it best when I said it first.
What?
Guess you've dropped your good uncle act.
It was no act. I extended a hand to these people. They spat on it.
Could it be because it held the sword that killed their loved ones?
Tja, a moralist. And what would you do in my stead?
Wouldn't ever be in your stead.
Tell me why you've come.
Also notice that, once again, brilliant voice acting direction. The guy's angry. Like, he's legitimately upset about all this. I don't think he's... Again, to be clear, I don't think he's a good guy, and I'm not trying to whitewash him. This is something we talked about extensively during the last stream of this game. Some people think that, the Bloody Baron, it was all about the Bloody Baron in that case. Some people think the Bloody Baron's a good guy who was just horribly presented. But that's not what I think, and I don't think that's what they were trying to do. It's more like the Bloody Baron is not the bad guy, as opposed to the Bloody Baron being the good guy. And this is an approach that Witcher 3 does a lot. It doesn't whitewash, it's more like it showcases both sides. And that's it.
Fulfilled my end of the bargain. Your turn. Where'd Yennefer go?
To Vizima.
She was a day's ride from here the whole time? Under my nose? Might have said so.
Yes, I might have. But you would not have killed the griffin. Tit for tat. Halt! We are not done. It's yours, this gold. I would not want you to say you were inadequately compensated.
This is yonder ain't it, look here. No more! Please, no more! Mercy! Please! Ah! No more! Please, no more! Mercy! Please! Ah! No more! Please, no more! Mercy! Please!
You'll notice I hesitated there. I couldn't actually 100% remember if it stopped at 15. So I wanted to count this time. Now, as Disco points out, it does lose its impact with the repeated lines. It's a bit of a shame, actually, because otherwise that would be a well-done kind of a thing. You know, that kind of additional narrative, optional stuff is the kind of thing I tend to eat up, right? But yeah, the voice actor doesn't get across the substantial significance of what's happening and its repeated lines, so the scene actually kind of falls apart. It does work really good if you just walk by rather than linger. But it would be truly excellent if they put the effort into basically crafting the entire scene, audibly speaking. I did, Papa Neeks. Hell, I've even had worse pain than that since then. Because I've had kidney stones. Bad kidney stones. And no, hazardous. We're moving on. It's not so much about what should have been said as how it should have been said, Baron. People sound different when they're truly in pain. It's hard to explain.
Winds howling.
Not that I'm aware of, no, Alex. And, of course, we have no ability to know if that guy ended up living through his ordeal or not.
Looking for trouble?
I think those plums are wreaking havoc on my gut.
See you around, Loner. If I'm being honest, Corrales, I haven't decided. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to stop right here. There we go. And we're going to cut off for the night.